Rugby Radio, bringing you the exclusive Melrose Sevens radio coverage with Turnbull and Scott.
Hello and welcome to Rugby Radio, and today we're covering the semi-junior under-18 Sevens tournament hosted by Melrose Wasps here at the Green Yards. There are 8 teams involved. The first is on the pitch right now, just kicked off. Melrose Wasps against Selkirk Youth Club, then it's Jed Thistle against Gala Wanderers, Peebles Colts take on Hoyt Youth, and Tynedale will face the holders Kelso Harlequins. Winners of each tie will go through to the Cup semi-finals. The losers go into the Shield competition, and round about 20 to 9 we shall have the Cup final. So without further ado, let's join Dale Clancy and Robin Purdy for commentary of match number 1. They'll be able to tell you exactly how things stand on the Kings of the Sevens table for the semi-juniors.
Chucking a job onto my list there, Stuart. Yes, welcome along to the Green Yards for the under-18s Jim Telfer tournament here, and Selkirk Youth Club currently have their hands on the ball. They're 5 points to nil to the good against the host side Melrose. Both of these sides are neck and neck towards the foot of the Kings of the Sevens table. The Melrose are on 5 points. Selkirk just snug behind them on 3 points after the opening 2 rounds at Peebles and Gala. Top of the pile in the Kings of the Sevens under-18s tournament is Jed and Peebles after winning a tournament each and beating each other in the respective finals at Peebles and Gala. Melrose here though have won the penalty towards the Selkirk 22 metre line, and they've been marched back as further 10 metres for a bit of back chat. So Jamie Campbell takes the quick tap penalty and gives it to James Dalrymple. He then checks back goes towards the right hand side where Henry Lynch is waiting. He just dances around with the ball, then feeds it to Ross Christie, who spots a little gap in the defence. He's been scragged, but he's offloaded the ball beautifully into the hands of Dalrymple, who tries to bound his way over the Selkirk defence, but not able to, and the ball's just been knocked on in that little bit of contact. And Melrose put in a great performance in the under-16s tournament just before we went live with a victory over Kelso in the end, but their under-18s side are finding things a little bit tougher, Robin.
Yes, Dale, that's right. They've struggled a bit overall this season. Melrose Wasps in the league towards the foot of the table, and they made a slow start here. Selkirk quick out the traps with a good try straight after the kick-off by Thomas Elliott. So Melrose with a wee bit to do.
Oliver McClymont rolls the ball into the scrum, then wraps round and feeds it to a teammate who's waiting there. Thomas Elliott was the player just to truck up the ball, and then McClymont gets it. His first receiver floats the ball over the defence, and it's a well-judged pass to the wider channels, and he looks like he's released one of the flyers here for Selkirk Youth Club as Fraser Kelly bounds his way into the Melrose half. Great offload off the deck there, finds McClymont again, and that arc and run towards the defence has been well marshalled by the Wasp defence, picked up there by Thomas Elliott. He tries to get the ball offloaded out of contact, but it's knocked on, and I think we know the skill set of Oliver McClymont and what he's going to bring. He made his debut for the first team in the Border League game at Netherdale, so obviously Melrose are keeping a keen eye on him and plugging the defence when he's got the ball in hand.
Yeah, he had a few men over him there, you're absolutely right, and I was impressed by him that night in the Border League. He played fullback. I think he's a scrum half to trade, Dale, but he played fullback that night, and he certainly gave a good account of himself, as he did at this tournament this time last year as well. I remember being particularly impressed with him that night.
Jamie Campbell for Melrose just waits by the tunnel, but the scrum has been halted at the moment. The referee just taking his time just to readdress this as both sides collide again together. It's a penalty towards Melrose in this windy and slightly damp conditions here at the Green Yards. They set up ready, raring to go for tomorrow's showpiece event, which will bring you live coverage from throughout the day, as well as Hoyt versus Curry, which might chum alongside me will be covering at Mansfield Park in the semi-final of the Cup. An interesting game after an interesting couple of weeks down at Mansfield Park, but back here at the action, Melrose look to kick out of their own half over the halfway line now. Stab downfield from Christie, and Selkirk are having to watch this one closely. It's well gathered there by Fraser Kelly, but he's couched on his back and presents himself to this Melrose side. They're able to suffocate that ball, win the penalty. Now Dalrymple got the ball in hand. He's got players up. He's got players on the outside. Great use of hands. It's eventually in Mollart's hands, and he's been well defended there by Elliot Hastie, who got across very well to make that defence. They've covered, but eventually a squirm towards the line from Dalrymple, who's been impressive throughout these opening stages of this game. Melrose eventually draw things level.
Yeah, he's a big lad, Dalrymple. Good try by the youngster. And yeah, Selkirk were just a wee bit, I don't want to use the word lazy, but just a wee bit slow getting back there towards the after it had been hacked through by Melrose. Just a couple of the players ambling, and that enabled Melrose to get in and around it, win the penalty from which they've ultimately scored the try.
Conversion to come out wide, and in Sevens fashion, it'll be a drop kick towards the posts. Often see these scores go up in increments of 5 in these challenging kicking conditions, especially with the wind as well, in the abbreviated game. And it's a good effort towards the posts, and the wind almost helped it towards a successful 2 points, but the referee brings the first half to a close and it finishes all square, and perhaps the Kings of the Sevens table does perhaps suggest that both of these sides are closely matched.
Yeah, they have been closely matched. Selkirk got off to a flying start with a try in the first minute, but Melrose have done well to claw their way back into it. Nick Alston, Melrose coach, is on there in the huddle now. He's been in that role for a good number of years with a good degree of success as well, so he'll be trying to rally the troops for this second half. But yeah, as you say, Dale, they're fairly eeksy-peeksy, if you like, in the Kings of the Sevens table, from which the early stages would suggest that Jed and Peebles are probably the teams that are going to be the most prominent this season. Both got to the first 2 finals, 1 win apiece, so it'll be interesting to see how they go this evening as well.
So next up after this game, it is Jed Thistle versus Gala Wanderers, and then Peebles Colts play Hoyt Youth, and in Tyndale they play Kelso Harlequins, who are at the foot of the table but had a relatively successful end to their 15 season, certainly. They're winning the Border Cup and then being defeated narrowly in the semi-junior league final against Peebles. As we can see, both the respective camps trudging off now, ready to get the second half underway here in the Jim Telford Trophy at the Green Yards in its second year after a successful first year. I did thoroughly enjoy the Friday night last year. Obviously revised it without the pre-qualifier as well, which is great because it limits our work and our prep, as the kick-off has been struggled down the neck of the Selkirk receivers and eventually gets into the hands of Casper Dent, who just arcs his run back in field and goes in for a score straight away after the restart. Which means that it's Melrose 10, Selkirk 5, and it's sloppy from the restart from Selkirk, and they gift Melrose a score.
It was the ball got into the hands of Zach Wheeler, and it was a lovely offload after he'd drawn in a couple of would-be Selkirk defenders. That freed the space for Casper Dent. He had enough pace on the outside, and Melrose have come behind to now lead.
I thought you were going to say ghosted in there, but obviously you've let that one pass you by.
Now you've put that out there. You could have used that and got all kinds of credit for it.
No, I'll leave it. But it's a brilliant conversion as well from the Melrose goal kicker. And he's done a great job, and that's Ross Christie, who's added the 2 points, and that could be a vital 2 points in a tight game.
Yeah, windy night as well. The wind's really picked up in the last half hour or so, and that's going to make it challenging for the kickers across the games this evening.
Christie tries to go short from the restart, stabs it, but on this artificial surface it bobbles up quite nicely into the hands of Archie Morris. The offload then is snaffled by Melrose, but then ends up back in the hands of Youth Club. Oliver McClyment with a little bit of footwork, and there's a few Selkirk players up on that right hand side. McClyment well tackled again by the Wheeler, who was the orchestrator of the previous try, the try that's given Melrose the lead in this opening round of the Jim Telford Cup here. Selkirk make their way up towards the 10 metre line. A replacement there, Cammy Forster has got the ball in hand. A couple of Melrose players scragging onto him. Selkirk looking to stretch the width here and get the ball into the wider channels as quick as possible. A 2-on-1, it's well orchestrated and it's well manipulated there, and Fraser Kelly then opens up his legs and he's got the gas on Jamie Campbell. He is not going to be caught up on this main stand side here at the Green Yards, and he goes underneath the Kinlan. And Oliver McClyment actually missed a conversion attempt right in front of the uprights before, so he's going to have to make this one. Yeah,
and you'd fancy him to do just that, and probably a phrase that will be trotted out a few times over the course of the next day and a half, Dale, is that there's absolutely no substitute for pace in this game, and that's exactly what Fraser Kelly showed there. Selkirk done well. They used the full width of the pitch right to the touchline, and yeah, he was shown the outside, Kelly, and he was only too happy to take it.
Yeah, he's got good gas, Kelly. We've seen it already in the first half, and perhaps he's quite lightweight, and the I think perhaps that green and gold shirt of the youth club perhaps acted as a little bit of a sail flying in with this strong wind which is blustering along in the home of Melrose Sevens. Actually, I've done him a bit of a disservice because it looks like it was blown straight in his face as McClyman gets play back underway. He kicks it over the head of the Melrose players. It's going to bobble out for a line out, and it's probably quite smart just to try and keep Melrose down in this area, but one slip tackle can mean that they can be in behind.
And that's the thing with Sevens. Defence is everything. Nowadays in Sevens, you may well have noticed that at World Series level now there are very few high scoring games. The final last week was, I think, 10-7. New Zealand against whoever it was they played, so just illustrates now defence is key in Sevens as well as 15s.
Kelso won this tournament last year, defeating Jed in the final 7 points to 5, so it was a tight affair as Melrose stretched the width. Now it's a foot race between Casper Den. He looks to go on the outside of Fraser Kelly, but he's no match for the Selkirk speedster, not able to manipulate that gap and get round the outside. But as Selkirk tried to compete on the floor, they've knocked on. That's a good return for Melrose. They've been able to squeak up the ground. They've got about 40 metres out of that, straight up towards the other end of the park on the halfway line, and they've got to put into the scrum. Yeah,
Fraser Kelly showing his defensive prowess as well as the attacking flair. He showed his man at the Casper Dan, the outside. Casper Dan, fair play to him. He was happy to try and take his man on the outside, but Fraser Kelly had enough gas to haul him down, and yeah, it's going to be a scrum at Melrose just in and around halfway. 12 all that remains.
Yeah, it's all square here. We've got a few minutes remaining in this first game. Next up we have Jed Thistle versus Gala Wanderers. One of the favourites for this Sevens tournament is Jed Thistle. The ball has been snapped here from Oliver McClyman at the scrum. He's just managed to scrag his opposite man, and then he's got the ball. He's ghosting in, but he's been tackled brilliant from Ross Christie there. Then there's a penalty gifted towards Melrose as well as they look to go quickly inside their own 22. Great pace from McClyman, but he's looking a bit leggy now, leaving that gap in defence, and Melrose could almost exploit this, but he's done well to get back. Looks like there's been a little fumble in there as well. The referee is perhaps not spotted, or I've made up completely. There's a bit of a fight on the floor. It's going to be a penalty to Selkirk. I think they'll look to try and go quickly because they've got numbers up on this side, and one of those numbers just happens to be Fraser Kelly. So if they can manage to get the ball in space, which they do, they try and gift the ball and bullet it towards Kelly. It's got a low trajectory, but it's just skimmed off the surface and went forward, so we're going to be treated to another scrum, a put into Melrose.
Yeah, the pass didn't need to cut out two men. They had numbers, did Selkirk, and if they'd got it to that man Kelly, then it would have exposed the space, and he would no doubt would have taken it based on what we've seen thus far. But brilliant tackle there on young McClyman as he looked to go under the post. You never want to get tackled at the best of times, but not on a pitch like this still.
No, I was saying
he almost bounced back up off it.
Yeah, I played in a pitch similar in an old Ringers game a couple of weeks ago, and I had Barney the Big Purple Dinosaur knees at the end of it. It's not a forgiving surface, but Melrose make their way out of their own 22 with the ball in hand. They're marched back from Selkirk Youth Club. A great big paw coming on there from Antrobus. Snifling on the ball is Christie, just outside of his own 22 towards this main stand side. The counter ruck coming on there from Selkirk Youth Club, and burrowing away there is Fraser Kelly. He's been omnipresent in this opening game as the ball ends up in the hands of Archie Morris, but he knocks on and the referee has awarded yet another scrum. It's going to go to Melrose yet again as some more replacements come on. We'll see the arrival of Nielsen Donald, so some more replacements for Melrose, but they're going to have to go from deep to score.
They are, as the clock ticks down. 12 points all. Could be looking at our first sudden death in the very first game, but let's see what happens from this scrum.
Good play from Finletter just to put a bit of pressure on it. The scrum, the ball is bobbling around to try and get a fly hack on there as well. It was Cammy Foster who tried to get his foot to that ball, just not able to, so Melrose get a chance to play out of their own 22. It's bobbled about off the chest of Casper Den, and it's going to be a put into the scrum for Selkirk this time, but finally we've got a scrum in a real attacking position and a chance for Selkirk to try and really stretch this Melrose defence just close to their goal line. Yeah,
they've got a big open side as well on this near side. Archie Morris coming over towards it. Fraser Kelly as well, of course. He off the pace. Got a lot of room if they can get it to him from this scrum.
Striking red boots is a great scrum as well, and Oliver McClymont sniffs an opportunity in the corner, goes back infield, great footwork again, and what an offload as well for a waiting player who's just grabbed that ball, but the Melrose defence is up tight and up steady there as well. The offload almost coming in there from Ryan Tour as well as Selkirk get closer and closer towards that line. McClymont eventually gets up to his feet. It's now looking to stretch this defence into the hands of McDonald, who's well defended by Melrose. He looks to get off the deck as well, not held, and the referee lets that go as Kelly plays scrum half. He just scoops the ball back into the hands of Sam Finlater. He's then got McClymont outside him, and it looks like the gap has opened up, and Oliver McClymont looks like he's going to go in for the match winner in this opening round. He's been given one in the ribs from Dalrymple as well on his way to the ground, but I think in the end that is going to be the try which seals progression into the cup semi-final for Selkirk Youth Club, and it's going to be the shield for Melrose Wasps, as I think Selkirk have been awarded the tie. 17 points to 12 they win with a last minute try.
Yeah, good try there by McClymont. We spoke about him being a danger man, and he showed what he's all about there. Almost scored a few minutes earlier when he was tackled as he headed towards the sticks, but showed good awareness there, good nous, use of the space, and under he went, and that's given the tie to Selkirk. As you say, they progress to the cup semi. It'll be the shield for Melrose.
Up next we've got Jed Thistle, and they're going to be playing Gala from the position that we're in. Jed Thistle will be playing left to right, Gala right to left. Gala in their traditional maroon tops with the white shorts and maroon socks, and Jed in a striking blue top with the scratchings of white through the top with the blue shorts and blue socks. They're going to start with they've got a squad of Duff, McTaggart, Wright, Reid, Weatherhead, who was here last year, Palmer, Beaton, Fishwick, McKechnie, Lewis, Purvis and Devlin as Jed gets underway and kick out in the full. Not a great start for the joint leaders in the Kings of the Sevens against Gala, who are got a squad of Little, McDonald, Belt, Graham, Purvis, Chalmers, Bryden, Wilson, McConnell, Allison, Tuft and Hume. It's going to be a throw into the line out for Gala. Cameron Bryden with the ball in hand takes the last instructions from Aaron Little as he makes his way back towards his teammates. Robbie Duff is crouched ready and waiting to lift at the front of that line out and does a great job, and it's been well gathered there by Harry Wright, but the referee has signalled that there's an infringement there, so Gala get the free kick. They take it quickly up towards the 10 metre line now into the hands of Matthew Palmer. Then back and checking themselves. Gala were victors over Peebles at this stage last season, and heavily fancied Peebles as well. They're able to knock them out in the opening round, so it's certainly a well-versed team at this abbreviated game, but into the hands of Aaron Weatherhead. And then off to Louis Reid. He's scragged round the ankles as Weatherhead has to gather the bobbling ball. Now Robbie Duff with the ball in hand, software development student from Borders College. And then great offload and great pirouette out of the challenge. And Jed Thistle looking to stretch the defence here and get the ball into the wider channels as Xander McTaggart now looks to try and evade the attentions of the Gala defence, but they're defending in twos as McDonald and Little get there and double up on the on-rushing Jed Thistle attack. And then eventually they get the penalty. They go quickly through Harry Wright. Xander McTaggart scoops the ball into the hands of Reid. He's then got an on-rushing Robbie Duff, who's just not able to gather the ball, so knocks on centre field just outside the Gala 22. And certainly there's not a lot between these two sides in these initial stages.
No, Jed have had all the possession, the Thistle, but they've not been able to do too much with it, and that's culminated in a knock-on there by young Reid, I think it was. And Jed, there's a few of this Jed squad that played here last year and they got to the final, lost narrowly to Kelso, so on that basis alone you'd fancy them to do quite well here tonight. Yeah,
Weatherhead I particularly remember as being a really important member of that side last year, and if I recall rightly there was another Weatherhead involved in the same day.
I think so no, there's a few. Xander McTaggart, Robbie Duff, Louis Reid, I think, a Weatherhead as you mentioned, Matthew Palmer, Matthew Beaton, so yeah, there's 5 or 6, so you'd fancy them to do pretty well.
Yeah, they'll be wanting to go one better this year after being defeated by Kelso last season. Solid scrum from Jed Thistle. Weatherhead travels with the ball, then eventually manages the cut, but it's been fumbled on as Duff has just escaped in behind the Gala defence, but it's been knocked on there in midfield from Matthew Palmer. So it's going to be brought back and it'll be a put into the scrum to Gala centre field. Jed starting to enjoy more of the ball.
Yeah, they've had most of it, so we'll need to see what they're all about defensively here. Gala's first possession of any note, deep inside their own half.
They've been nudged off the ball by this ferocious Jed Thistle scrum. But again, just when trying to offload out the challenge, they just knock on the ball in these difficult conditions. It's really grey overhead. And there's a steady fall of light rain, which is making the ball very slippery for these youngsters. It's perhaps contributing towards some difficult handling for both sides, in particular Jed, who have enjoyed a lot of the ball. But the free kick from the scrum, Gala are going to lump it downfield, and it's a good kick from Cameron Bryden. It's bobbling up now, but it's looking to make a bit of momentum more towards that goal line, aided by the wind, which is travelling from right to left here at the Green Yards.
And he's kicked it dead. Unfortunately, that's the bounce you get on a plastic pitch, aided with a bit of wind. So, yeah, kick possession away there. Gala is going to hand it back to Jed on the Gala 10-metre line. And you mentioned about the conditions, Dale. I don't think it'll be easy down there. It looks, certainly judging by how Jed have mishandled it so far, it could be a bit of a bar of soap at the moment because it is wet and it is very windy.
It's very challenging, these conditions. The scrum looks to go a little bit early, and I think it was Gala perhaps looking to try and compensate for, or overcompensate for a ferocious Jed Thistle scrum. Weatherhead goes direct, he looks to offload to Duff, but it's went back this time. Then travelling with the ball is Louis Reid, who arcs his run towards that gap which opened up in front of him, but eventually it does fall to Harry Wright, and it's an offload to Weatherhead. He pirouettes out the challenge and then scoops it out of the back door to his centre colleague Matthew Palmer, and he's arced his run inside the Gala defence and goes in for the opening score. And it's a well worked try for Jed Thistle. They've had to work hard for it, but eventually the defensive resilience of this young Maroon side is yielded.
Yeah, they just broken Gala's resolve there, and he looks a balanced runner. Palmer, good burst of pace, sniffed the gap, through it and under the sticks. So 5 will become 7 here, and it does. Wasn't the best of conversion efforts from bang in front, but they all count.
Good conversion attempt there from Weatherhead, so it's an opening conversion that'll steady the nerves as well in challenging conditions. And it was a final which they lost by a converted score last year, the conversion only, 7 points to 5. Kelso were the victors on that occasion. The restart is well hung up there for the Jed Thistle players to attack, but it just went over the head of absolutely everybody and bobbled off the field of play. So it'll be another throw into the line out for Gala. So Wanderers have another chance.
Yeah, I think kickoffs have got to be a challenge tonight, Dale, both for the kicker and the recipient in this win.
Flapped back by Harry Wright, and now it's on the halfway line, and Weatherhead, the playmaker, just spots a gap in behind and he kicks it. He's chasing his own kick, but it's been well watched back by the Gala defence. Eventually Robbie Duff is there waiting and just pounces on that loose ball. The ball has just escaped that ruck, and it means that the front row can link up. Duff snaffled on the ball, and then a link up between Wright and the eventual scorer Xander McTaggart means that Jed Thistle extend their lead.
Good try that by Jed. It was a great initial break by Weatherhead, seen that there was a bit of space in behind and put the grubber through. It was initially good covering by Gala, but they tried a fly hack of their own, which only ended up in the hands of Jed Thistle, and they just had too many numbers at the end.
And it's a good time to score as well for Jed Thistle. 12 points to 0. They lead at half time. The referee bringing things to a close as the well drilled and well organised Jed outfit march onto the pitch with a lot of purpose to receive the orders from the coaching side. Gala remain inside the half they started the game in, having a little conversation about how they're going to look to turn over this deficit. But you'll be happy as a proud Jed man. Yeah,
I wore the Jed Thistle jersey for 2 or 3 seasons back in the day. Yeah, great times back then. Different era, of course, but yeah, the makings of a few men, or boys became men anyway at that level back in those days.
And it would have been difficult to be playing in these conditions back in those days with the shirts.
Oh yeah, they were. They weren't like these kind of fitted, nice, silky-looking numbers. They were baggy. They'd be soaking on a night like this, and yeah, it wouldn't be much fun. And there was no pitches of this nature either, so it would have been, you'd have been running about an ankle-deep glare as well.
Robin Purdy just pretty much alluding that these players nowadays are spoiled.
It was a 10-man squad back then as well. If 10-man squad, you didn't have the luxury of those extra 2 players, no rolling subs, any of that kind of carry on.
And it's a fine point. Things have changed as well. It used to be a 10-minute final as well, 10 minutes each way, which was difficult as you made your way through the rounds.
Yeah.
Only ever had to endure that once, luckily.
Yeah. Few times, got to a few finals, often got scalped by Hoyk PSA, as they were back then, but a few goals as well, but a few silver medals in the cabinet.
Gala get played back underway. They kick it high and it's an excellent restart, but it's just nudged off the shoulder of Harris McDonald into the hands of Robbie Duff, and then his front row partner Harry Wright gets the ball away from the breakdown. Weatherhead just spots a little gap in behind and again puts boot to ball. The ball bobbling about, well marched back there from Gala Wands. Jamie Bell was there and does well to offload the ball to Danny Allison, who gives it back to Bell. He's then scragged round the waist, and the tops, they might be silky and fitted, but they're certainly stretchy, and Bell showed there what you can do when you get your shirt scragged by the opposition. They're able just to ragdoll them to ground. They concede the penalty. Weatherhead now puts boot to ball, and then it's going along the line. The Jed Thistle players, eventually it ends up in the hands of Louis Reid and then onto the shoulder, and it's went back, so Jed Thistle remain with ball in hand. The opening try scorer Palmer tries to arc his run towards that gap which was presented in front of him in this Gala defence. Another penalty goes the way of Jed Thistle. Great direct running there from Jed Thistle this time. Harry Wright is there offering up some support. He carries it forward towards the 22 metre line. Then Mick Taggart tries to pick the ball off of the ground, and it just fumbles forward. And it was a promising attack there, and some great direct running as well from some of these Jed Thistle players who are really asking questions of that Gala defence.
Yeah, they just look just a wee cut above what we've seen so far. Early days yet, of course, and there'll be other tests to come, Peebles in particular, you imagine.
It's a penalty to Gala from that scrum. So it is looking like Melrose and Gala will compete for the first Shield semi-final, and Jed versus Selkirk will be the first Cup semi. However, still a bit of time to play here. Gala getting the ball across that line that's been opened up there, and it's a great run from Cameron Bryden, who's been one of the bright sparks for Gala in these opening exchanges in this game. Bell runs downfield, gets a big fend on initially, but then has to use brute force and dig the shoulder in to try and bundle his way over the Jed defence. Gala just screaming to get the ball wide. McDonald is one of the players to give it to Bryden, and then into the hands of Aaron Little. Against the grain, Gala come. Offload there, being well picked up by McDonald. He then directly goes forward, puts the big palm out there as well. Great hands there from Gala Wands, who have eventually been able to get that ball. Kerr McConnell defended well as he made his way towards the 22 metre line. Now Gala have orchestrated a 2-on-1 opportunity. Bell looks to go round the outside, then looks to offload, but he's just fumbled the ball forward, so Jed Thistle now have the ball deep inside their own 22. A club with great sevens prowess and great balanced running here from Jed Thistle out from their own 22 metre line, and they're going to go in for a try, and Louis Reid has just waltzed his way from a loose ball inside his own 5 metre line, evades a couple of defenders and makes it all the way towards their goal line, dots the ball down, and he perhaps secures Jed Thistle's place in the Cup semi.
Yeah, that'll be enough now, Dale. Be minimally a 17-point deficit that Gala will need to claw back, and I don't think there's enough time, and the Jed defence has looked fairly resolute as well. Good running from the youngster there, Louis Reid. It was good to say it'd be a perfect day for him if the Thistle win this.
A bit before my time. I don't get that one. It looks like Louis Reid has been withdrawn from the field of play. And Robbie Duff coming off as well. And then Matthew Beaton coming on. for Jed Thistle in his first appearance in this.
He's a unit. He's
a big lad, eh? I had said it before as well, as Weatherall takes Weatherhead takes a very quick restart there. And he gets it back off Palmer on the wraparound. He looks to arc his run back in field. The gap has opened up. He's thrown the dummy and he's in for another score. And it's one thing that I've been very impressed with, not just in... he almost went over the dead ball line, but he's still to get the ball down. Eventually does. But the skill set of these young players is increased year on year. And it's good rugby. It's quality rugby.
Yeah, and I the teams now all look like they're well coached as well. Even at this young age, they look like they know what the job in hand is, and they talk about defensive structures and attacking shape and all that kind of stuff nowadays. Well, it looks like these kids get that.
Jed Thistle firmly in the driving seat. 26 points to 0. They lead Gala Wands, and the restart is a scruffy one, but it might work out well here as McTaggart was there, just waiting to put in the defensive effort. Then in the hands of Palmer, who just juggles it in his right hand, and it just floats up as he's able to grab both mitts on the ball, but he's been scragged to ground, and the Gala defence are on that, and they're able to just suffocate the ball in that breakdown, and it's now into the hands of Cameron Bryden. He's been brought to ground, scragged as well, away by Wilson. Then Little getting the ball along the line to Purvis now. Offers it up to a teammate to take it in on the 15-metre line, just on the Jed Thistle 10. Gala slowing play down on the halfway line, looking for options, but this Jed defence is up in a really firm blue defensive line. Not a lot of gaps out there, and McTaggart, the only gap that was there was because McTaggart just slipped a tackle, and on the outside goes Rowan Tuft. Great pace, great fend, and it's a great finish to this game for Gala. If that is perhaps the last action of this half, it was a great effort from Gala to go round the outside.
Yeah, good piece of running from the youngster Tuff, almost from the halfway line, scorched up the touchline. That's a good bit of consolation for Gala, who the kick from in front of the post sent to the wind, admittedly has been shanked and missed, but yeah, that'll give them something to build on going into their Shield semi-final. So
just a reminder, the next couple of ties we've got coming up for you is Peebles Colts versus Hoyt Youth, and then Tynedale against Kelso Harlequins in our first Shield semi-final. Guaranteed is going to certainly include Melrose, and more likely than not is going to include Gala. And the Cup semi looks like it's going to be shaping up to be Selkirk against Jed. The tournament itself culminates at about the back of 8, about 8:30, just before 9 o'clock, as Jed Thistle look like they're going in for another try straight from that restart, and it looks like it is the replacement, Aidan McKechnie, to get the score. The referee has signalled that the score has been awarded, and he's brought proceedings to a close. So it's a solid victory there for Jed Thistle in the opening exchanges. And briefly, Robin, they've stamped a marker here in this tournament.
Yeah, they've laid a marker down. Good running again. There's been a bit of good running in this game. Aidan McKechnie, a famous name of the Border 7 circuit from the past, son of the great Gregor McKechnie, who'll have more than a few Sevens medals in his cabinet. But yeah, Jed look the part.
They make their way to the Cup semi-final, and they'll play Selkirk. Melrose Gala is the first confirmed Shield semi-final, but Jed are the victors against Gala, 31 points to 5.
This is Rugby Radio.
Rugby Radio.
Many businesses struggle when it comes to their comfort or process heating, drying, cooling, chilling and other energy-saving challenges. However, many businesses don't, because they've put their trust in Turnbull and Scott, serving customers for over 90 years in many sectors including agriculture, building services, food and drink, low-carbon energy and more. Our loyal and growing client base value our expertise, integrity and accessibility. Why not find out what we could be doing for your business? Find out more and download our brochure now. Just search the web for Turnbull and Scott.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
Rugby Radio, bringing you the exclusive Melrose Sevens radio coverage with Turnbull and Scott, providing heating, cooling and energy saving solutions to many local businesses for over 90 years.
Yes, we're here at the Greenyards tonight, and we've just seen the first two ties in the under-18 competition. The Melrose Wasps hosting it, of course, and we've seen Melrose Wasps 12, Selkirk Youth Club 17 in tie 1, round 1. Jed Thistle 31, the Gala Wanderers 5, so it's going to be a Selkirk Jed Thistle Cup semi-final. That's round about 7 tonight, and the Shield semi-final, that's going to be between Melrose Wasps and Gala. That's round about 7:15. Well, we've had a quick hot seat change. Robin Purdy has moved into the commentator's chair and he's been joined by Ewan Welsh. Next tie up is Peebles Colts against Hoyt Youth.
Thank you, Stuart. That's right, Peebles Colts. They've been in 2 finals from 2 so far this season against the Hoyt team, who are shorn of the services of 3 or 4 players who are going to represent South under 17s this weekend, as Peebles come onto the field here as we await Hoyk, and here they come, the Teary youngsters, just looking at the kings of the sevens table. Peebles on 7, Peebles currently on 17, Hoyt Youth on 8 points. They currently sit joint third with Morpeth at the moment. Hoyk are going to attack the St Mary's Road end here in the first half, and it's going to be them to kick off as we await Hoyk numbers. So Hoyk to kick off, playing with the wind. It's going to drop right on the, it was Riley Muir that kicked it off, and Hoyk have got possession. It's been hacked forward here towards the goal line, but no, early knock on there by the youngsters. And what do Hoyk need to do here, Ewan, to get the better of a Peebles side who clearly are a decent outfit?
I think there's just needs to be a lot of teamwork and responsivity. Obviously, you've got not a lot of time in sevens to kind of keep the game up, and so I think it'll just be about kind of just getting that kind of foothold in the game early on and not taking too long to kind of find your feet.
Well, yeah, you don't imagine they'll have time to find their feet here because Peebles are in possession. A snipe up the blind side over on the far side as we view it. Now they're going to pass out the line. They've got a man over on this near side here. Peebles look full of running, but that's good defence by the young Hoyk side. It was a double tackle there on Miles McLaughlin. Chris Thompson now, he's playing tomorrow, or he's Scotland under 18s. He's playing tomorrow for Peebles rather, the Scotland under 18s man, and there's a break on here for McLaughlin. McLaughlin up the touchline, and it's going to be the first try of the campaign for Peebles. And again, he's another big lad, McLaughlin. He's got a bit of pace as well, you.
Yeah, and that's sometimes what you need at sevens, is just that kind of individual skill, just to kind of get over the line. That was a good play by Peebles to keep the ball alive, and in sevens, keeping the ball alive can be a huge asset.
It most certainly can, and that's what Peebles did there. And he's had the nous and awareness to go right under the posts as well, and the kick is good, so Peebles out to an early 7-0 lead. And just to the naked eye as well, Ewan, looking at these two teams, there's a size mismatch between them as well.
Yeah, there is a big size difference, and you mentioned obviously Hoyt missing a couple of players who are away on regional duty, but there is a definite size difference, and that can be, that can feel quite impeding for Hoyt. So hopefully they'll just have to try and kind of get themselves back into the game now. Well,
Peebles have kicked off and they've won the ball back again, but Hoyk have managed to snaffle it. So first meaningful possession there. There's a man over on the far side if he'd elected to use it, but it's been taken into the contact. Set up though by Hoyk. It's fired out the line there by Jarden Vevers. Now a little half break there by Will Donaldson. Hoyk back over their 10 metre line. The break on now though, a turn of pace, but he was just hauled back there. The Hoyk player, number 4. Apologies, we've just not been given numbers here. Connor Crawley. Hoyk now in possession. Still in possession, Hoyk. Deep inside their own half, however. Aaron Cummins. No, there's a big tackle there on Mikey Swales it was. Now Hoyk still in possession. They've managed to maintain it. Aaron Cummins takes it to ground, not doing too much with the possession at the moment, the youngsters though. Luke Scott feeds it out. Route 1, it's Will Donaldson. He manages to offload it. Number 4 there, whose name evades us. But it's a loose pass and Peebles have snaffled it up there. Now they're in possession here. Oh, right in the kick forward. Peebles right in the face of the Hoyk player who's rode that well. And the penalty's gone the way of Hoyk. Well won there by Mikey Swales. So they're going to tap and go here, Hoyk. Harley Bryson it was. That's Connor Crawley in possession there. And the penalty again being conceded by Hoyk, but they've stuck in well since conceding the early score, you.
Yeah, they have, and they've not let one become two become three very consecutively. So no, Hoyk have found their feet now, but points are going to get in the win here, and that's what they need to do, is try and really get up that other end of the pitch. Yeah,
playing with the wind at the moment as well. Not that it makes a massive difference in sevens, of course. Now Peebles took the penalty, fired it out, and the first pass was dropped. And there's as I said before with Dale, there's been a few handling errors, and you have to put that down in part to the conditions.
Yeah, I think the rain's stopped a wee bit now. It was kind of bad for the first two ties, but the rain just kind of eased up. But there's still a lot of wind, and the wall will still be wet off this 3G pitch.
Yeah, it most certainly will, and it's come back on the side of Hoyk, and it's a clever kick in behind where he's seen a bit of space. Peebles are covering that though. They've got back well into the 22. The chase was on there by Riley Muir, and he's still after his man Riley Muir, but the Peebles players evaded the tackle. Peebles in possession, still outside the 22, and that's one of the broken field runners, and he's gone from deep. That's the man that's playing tomorrow for Peebles' first team. Chris Thompson streaks under the post, Scotland under 18s man, and he looks like he's got a bit of class about him.
Yeah, and there'll be a lot of frustration there for Hoyk, because they've had most of the ball since that first try, and they would have liked to have turned that kind of pressure into points, but they didn't then, and in the end they've actually conceded 5 points that should turn into 7 if this kick goes over. So Hoyk will be a wee bit deflated by that, and they'll have to kind of pull themselves together if they're trying get back into this game.
That's right, they've kind of huffed and puffed, if you like, without breaking the door down, so to speak. Life in this first half yet as well, and Peebles going to kick off here. Hoyk will need to regroup and try and get something. Hoyk coached by Rummel Douglas, who departs the field with the water bottles. Great stalwart of Hoyk rugby is Rummel. We're back underway. High hanging kick's been caught in the wind there, and that's going to enable Peebles forwards to get underneath it, but it was missed by Louis White. And now Hoyk are in possession through Aaron Cummins. Bryson, back with Bryson. Man over here for Hoyk, but it's from their own 22. It was fired out by Luke Scott, and now there's a bit of pace being shown down the far side here. Oh, lovely bit of footwork as well by Jarden Vevers, but good defence by Peebles, and they're in making a nuisance of themselves, and they've won the penalty. It was the try scorer, Chris Thompson, and they're going to go quickly here, Peebles, as you'd imagine. Try and obtain another try before half time, which could go a long way to putting this tie to bed. And it's the first try scorer, Miles McLaughlin, and he's released Louis White. He's a solid campaigner. Peebles, another break here by McLaughlin. He's got Burnett Godfrey in support. Peebles just inside the 22 now. Callum McRobert, latest to be in possession. Nothing hurried, weighing up his options. Harried and hassled, though. Good defence there by Aaron Cummins from Hoyk. But now Peebles, and again, chip forward. Another kick. It's been palmed back by a Hoyk player. Referee he said it's gone forward there, Chris Thompson. As the referee brings the first half to a close. Peebles 14, Hoyk 0, and it has it's been all Peebles, all the meaningful possessions come with the men from to the men from up the valley.
Yeah, absolutely, and they've been the ones that have piled the pressure on when it counted, and they're the ones who've actually made a lot of ground when they've had the ball. I think Hawick really struggled to make ground when they had the ball. They kind of hovered a bit, but really couldn't get through that defence, and that's testament to the defensive work shown by Peebles. And hopefully they've got a chance to regroup now. Hawick will have to put heads together and try and work out how they can turn a wee bit of ball into points, because the next score would be crucial in determining the outcome of this match.
Yeah, Hawick still in this. If they can score first, you feel, but if Peebles get the next try, yeah, it's a long way back from there. The substitutes and the coaches on, instilling the instructions to the charges. As we await the start of this second half.
Rummel Douglas very vocal with the Hawick boys down there, obviously encouraging pretty much what we just said about getting that next score and really keeping up the energy, because they have shown a bit of promise when they've broke. Yeah, they have. They've just not been quite quick enough, or I would say quite strong enough, and that's through no fault of theirs. They're up against a bigger side here of more well put together lads, if you like. Yeah, they are, and they have to take that on the chin, and they are at a disadvantage, and maybe they're the favourites to see out this tie, but it's a big learning curve for them. There's a lot of sevens still to be played this season, so that they'll learn from this, Robin. Oh, they definitely will, and as mentioned, they're missing a few. Young Connor McLeod, one, he's in the pathway, good player, quick player. They could have done with his speed tonight on this top of the ground surface, but penalties being conceded, holding on. You don't get long now on the ground, and Peebles are looking to go quickly and put this tie to bed. Cormac, who's on, he's held up just over the halfway line. Peebles regather. Now it's back with Thompson. McLaughlin, was he held there? No, the referee's going to bring them back. So he's held on in the tackle, and I think that's a good call, Ewan. Correct decision. Yeah, it is, and that's what you like to see, a bit of consistency and just the referee making efficient calls and letting the game play quickly on. And Hawick have wasted little time in getting back going with the ball. And Hawick, there's an outside break on there, an arcing break from Jordan Vevers. Does he have the pace? He's passed it back inside. Great ball inside, but Peebles defenders have got back well there. Vevers is going to come in and play scrum half. No, it's been left to the number 4, Connor Crawley. Now Vevers again. Fired out there to Ryan Muir. Luke Scott tries to show the footwork. Back to Muir. Muir fends, or tries his best to fend off the Peebles player, and he's done exactly that. Riley Muir is in, he's under the sticks, Ewan, and we spoke about next try is going to be crucial, and it's gone the way of Hawick. Yeah, and they were very efficient when they went down that far side. They were unlucky not to score down that far side, but they quickly recycled, came back to where the space was, and then managed to get over the line, and now they'll want to keep up that pressure and get the next score as well. Yeah, it's been converted as well for good measure, so it's Peebles 14, Hawick 7. It looked for all the world that Peebles would run away with this tie, but it's not going to be the case. The young Tieries have stuck to the task manfully. So we await the kick-off here. Luke Scott back on for Hawick. Hawick first team tomorrow have a massively important game. Cup semi-final at Mansfield against Curry in what has been a tumultuous couple of weeks for the club, some might say. It's been kicked off though. Gathered in by Kieran Ross for Peebles. He's on the 10 metre line, jersey scrabbed up and around his shoulders. A Hawick player in over that, which came back on the Peebles side. Chris Thompson fires it out to Callum Robert. Patient build up by the Peas here, and there's a break on the outside once again. Scorer of the first try, Miles McLaughlin, and no sooner had Hawick clawed their way back into it, McLaughlin streaks down the touchline, dots it down, and good response from Peebles, Ewan, but the last thing that the Hawick youngsters needed after clawing their way back into it. Yeah, but Peebles have shown that they've worked really well as a team, and they've just had that little bit of individual skill. In particular, Miles McLaughlin, as you say, now 2 tries to his name, and also Chris Thompson, who has performed really well, and as you mentioned, national accolades to his name. But sometimes at sevens you just need a decent team, but then just that couple of little kind of flickers of just specialness, and that's what this Peebles team seem to have. As the conversion kisses the upright and flops over the bar, that takes it to Peebles 21, Hawick 7.
But you're absolutely right. A well-drilled squad with a couple of bits of stardust in it is enough. Normally, certainly at this level, won't be enough tomorrow. One would think, 5 or 6 players with the ability to go 60 metres will be required tomorrow in the main Melrose Sevens tournament. But Hawick back in possession from the kick-off. If they're going to get back into this and find themselves in the semi-final, then they need to do so quickly. Still inside their own 22, and Peebles are in over the ball. It was Fraser Casson, and he's given away the penalty. Young Casson for holding on. Didn't have much by way of support, in fairness to him. It's taken quickly there by Chris Thompson. Peebles now inside the 22, and there's a half break on there by Louis White. He fires it back in field. Thompson's in over that, but a penalty's been conceded by Peebles, so again Hawick have a chance, but they're going to have to go coast to coast. Tapped quickly and gone. Casson. It's out to Luke Scott, back in field to Casson. Now outside the 22, Casson dummies. Thinks about going, but comes back in. But it's almost intercepted there by a Peebles player. But it's going to arrive back on the Hawick side and in the hands of Riley Moore, and it's gone to Aaron Common. And Aaron Common's got little option other than to punt it down the paddock. But he's after this Common, and it's been gathered by a Peebles player. That being the 2 try scorer Miles McLaughlin. But Common done well to harry him. But McLaughlin's managed to break free using his strength, the bulk that he has, as well as the pace. Another man speaking of bulk, Chris Thompson, the much mentioned. Now it's Callum McRobert. Callum McRobert's been shown the outside and elects to take it, but he's been well reeled in there by Harley Bryson of Hawick. Still going though, pumping the legs, the big forward. Now Peebles going to come back to this near side. Chris Thompson again. Thompson fires out to Ben Martin, who's on. Martin, lovely flick, pop pass back inside. Didn't go to hand, however, and it's been knocked on, so they're going to come back for a Hawick scrum. We coming together there between Luke Scott and Chris Thompson. A wee bit of a size mismatch as Hawick empty the bench. There's a number 3 on and a numberless player.
Yeah, I think the numberless player, that's Logan Robertson. He's came back into this Hawick team recently, and he's got the blonde hair, but he's a good player, and he'll try and have his impact on the game now.
So he's packed down in that scrum, but the penalty's been conceded by Hawick, and Peebles have taken it quickly. It's out to Kieran Ross. Man on, there was a man on indeed, you may have heard over the mic, and the Peebles player was flattened, but Chris Thompson is all strength, and he's offloaded as well now. The dummy back inside and the pass fired back inside by Peebles, but it's been lost by the Peebles youngsters and hacked down the field by Hawick now. But Peebles have a player back there on the 10 metre line, and there's a wee bit of space potentially going to open up here for Peebles, and it's been taking the space down the outside. Goes Louis White, he's in for the fourth Peebles try. That'll take it out to 26-7, and if we were in any doubt as to whether there was life in this game, Ewan then Peebles have just extinguished it.
Yeah, and there was a lot of pressure on Hawick there. They spent a lot of time in their own 22, and that can be really tough when you're having to cover as much area as you are at Sevens. And now you can see kind of heads dropping. This is probably the first time that Hawick have really felt they're really out the game, because their heads have dropped now, and they probably know what the outcome of this game is. I think, as I say, they were under pressure in their own 22. They won the ball back a couple of times, but just that last time they lost the ball, it was just a case of, oh no, we've not been able to escape, and Peebles ran in well.
Now, well, the conversion's been missed, but it matters not for Peebles, because they will progress into the semi-finals here. Hawick Youth will drop into the Shield tournament. It's finished Peebles Colts 26, Hawick 5, and yeah, from what we've seen thus far, Peebles and Jed Thistle look to be the standout teams in this tournament. Yeah, definitely. I was very impressed by Selkirk in that first tie, and then equally by Jed in that second tie. I think that's a mouth-watering semi-final, and I think between them both, they both offer different things, and I think that it'll come down to who's got energy. At this level, there's boys here that will have done a lot all day, and now they're having to come in and put in a shift tonight, and there's a couple of individuals who are really got to stand out, and it might come down to just that bits of individual skill, and who can have the better 14 minutes, because that's what it's going to come down to at the end of the day. You can
have great games for the first couple of ties, and then as it gets on, it can get difficult. And I think you're in a position now where, luckily for all the teams involved, you're guaranteed 2 games, which is a big upgrade on asking boys just to come for the 1 game. At least they're getting the 2 games, and this is the final quarter final, if you like, where teams can make or break.
Indeed, and now we're into the final game in the first round. It's Kelso Harlequins v Tynedale Colts. Be Kelso to kick this one off, attacking the Eildon's end here at the Green Yards, playing into what is still a stiff breeze. That's a meaty kick-off and almost goes into the 4th row of the stand here at the Green Yards. Never in doubt as to whether that was in or out. And Tynedale are going to tap and go through Alfie Scott, the burly figure from Northumbria. Goes route 1, Alfie Scott flings it back to nobody in particular. It's been gathered in by a Kelso player, lost in the challenge however, and it's back in the hands of the Northumbrians. And that's William Hutchison trying to have a crack from his own half, but he's been hauled down. Good tackle there by Kelso, and the penalty's been conceded for rolling in the possession by Tynedale, so it'll be Kelso. Tap penalty, 30 metres out, bang in front. It's been dropped again, not Harry Wilson flung it back inside, and Kelso have spilled up possession here, and that's a wee knock on there by Tynedale. It's fallen into a Kelso hand as Tynedale kind of stopped, didn't wait for the whistle. Ben Burton, the captain, it's been knocked on, double knock on in there, so it's going to be a scrum feed to Kelso. They're maybe 7 or 8 metres from the Tynedale line, and we bit of a scrappy start to this one, Ewan.
Yeah, both teams just kind of having to find their feet quite quickly, and both teams will have had a long time to warm up, probably been here quite a while, and now push comes to shove and they're having to actually work on that field, and they'll probably be experiencing just how big a pitch it is to cover, especially when you've got people all around the ground watching.
Indeed, and there's a little dummy in there by the Kelso player, still going towards the line on his knees, and has he been hauled down just short? He has indeed, but the support was there from Blair Patterson, who flops over from about 30 centimetres just to the right of the post, and first blood to Kelso.
Yeah, and it comes into that word that you mentioned there, support, which is huge in sevens, because that can be the difference between holding on or getting that try even in that case. And that was great work to get so close to the line, and then just to have that support player there just to take it and make it look quite comfortable in the end. Yeah,
it did look quite comfortable as we await the conversion, which into the wind is stroked over. Decent nudge by the young Kelso player, takes it out to Tynedale 0, Kelso 7. Couple of minutes gone in this one. Kelso, as mentioned, playing into the stiff breeze here at the Green Yards in this Jim Telfer Cup. Second year of playing, won last year by Kelso Quins, who have just kicked off. And under this for Tynedale is Yaya Chowdhury. Or Chowdhury rather, and there's a break on here and a good bit of pace by the Tynedale player, and he's going to go all the way. Miles Michael under the sticks, and he's a fairly slight figure, Ewan, but he's gone fully 60 metres there with as much gas as you can imagine.
Yeah, a nippy little player, you could tell, bounced off both feet and then broke when he needed to, and they're the kind of players that suit sevens and suit a big pitch or open space, and he's probably want to watch for the rest of this tie, and maybe it might be that Kelso maybe pinpointed that now and can work on that.
Yeah, they'll have to keep an eye on him as he puts the conversion over as well, turns his 5 into 7. He does look a tidy little player as he ambles back to take the kick off. He'll be breathing heavily, like I say, fully 60 metres for the young man there as he shapes to take the drop kick. That takes it level at 7 points all, and he's given his forwards a chance with this one. Underneath it was William Hutchison, but it was fumbled forward, so Kelso with a slight advantage here in possession, but just outside their own 22. Good footwork though, and there's a half break on, but the door is closed pretty quickly by Tynedale. Now it's Charlie Lindsay in possession. The captain, Ben Burton, flings it out to a player on this near side for Kelso, but they've lost possession, and Tynedale have taken it back in, and strength there, and he's almost lost the ball, and in losing the ball it kind of broke his running style, and he was hauled back down by a Kelso player. Good work in defence there by Sam Wood it was for Kelso Quins, and the chance goes a begging for Tyndale. He looked like he was in.
Yeah, I think he was in if he hadn't just lost a wee bit of the ball, and that really slowed him down as he tried to, regather that ball between his back and his hand. But it comes down to that word support, and that we mentioned, and the support wasn't there, and it quickly meant they were able to get done for holding on, and now they can have to let Kelso have the ball.
Well, Kelso have tried to run it out from deep, but they've been caught just in the shadow of their own post. But fortunately for them, and when Tyndale tried to retrieve possession, there's been a knock on in there somewhere, so it's going to be a scrum head and feed to Kelso, but they're deep inside their own 22 here, 5 metres from their 5 metres rather from their own try line. Tyndale 7, Kelso 7. In what so far has been a tight contest, these teams battling for the right to face Peebles Colts in the semi-final. And there's a break on here by Kelso and a good turn of pace, but good defence there, a good chase by Tyndale, but there's a supporting player. You mentioned support, Ewan, and that was good support by the Kelso youngster Charlie Lindsay. But Tyndale have made a mess of it on the floor, but Kelso have come up with possession. Now there's a fly hack here and a fly nudge there, and there's a foot race on as well, but Tyndale have got back and won it. Did that go forward? No, there's a knock on there for sure, however, in trying to retrieve possession, and it's all got a bit harum-scarum there.
Yeah, I think it looked like Sam Wood for Kelso there that managed to kind of see the gap and put a kick in and just tried to chase it down, but it just a bit fumbled, and again conditions no helping with that kind of thing, because it just kind of leaves it really open at the elements, and then there was an awkward bounce as well, and it all just kind of got a bit messy. Yeah,
and on the touchline there I can see Cammy Brown, Kelso first team player, on crutches. Sadly he won't be participating tomorrow. He done himself a bad one here on this particular surface a couple of weeks ago for Kelso, so that's put paid to his season sadly, as Kelso under 18s, Kelso Quins come up with possession from the scrum. There's a meaty challenge in there in the midfield by Miles Michael, the Tyndale scorer, but Kelso still in possession. They've had to commit bodies to the ruck, but it's back with Sam Wood. Sam Wood, he goes to his knees, but he wasn't held, so he gets to pick up and crack on, and the referee's awarded a penalty for offside against Tyndale, so the young Northumbrians getting on the wrong side of the referee there. And Kelso, Angus Millen flings it out. Oh, good defence there by Tyndale. He's gone into touch in the corner of the Kelso player. Wee bit of pushing and shoving. And the referee draws the first half to a close, and it's been nip and tuck, Ewan, and it's been at times devoid of quality, you might say, in some aspects of the game, but there's certainly no quarter asked and none given.
Yeah, it was a very fast-paced start. Both teams getting a try to their name early on, and then it kind of died down a little, and there was probably efforts for both teams to really get back on the scoreboard. Particularly, there was a moment where Tyndale looked to get in front with a break just for the line, but again the ball was kind of fumbled, and then that kind of was brought to a close, and then equally at the other end Kelso made an effort to go for the line, but they were then pulled back towards the line purely because they were just being too slow with the ball, and things just kind of went a wee bit unlucky because there was a bit of a knock on and there was a bad bounce, and so there was just little things like that have just kind of slowed the game down in terms of lacking that little bit of kind of quality and that kind of in the final third, if you like. But I think there's definitely promise for both teams, that both teams will be standing there speaking about how they can go on and win this game.
Yeah, I think both teams will be quite pleased with how the scoreline looks at the moment. There's been breaks, there's been possession for both teams. Both teams look like they've got danger men in the ranks, and Richie Lang's on there, Kelso Quins head coach, giving the instruction. Tyndale in there, huddle as well. These young men taking on the wisdom and experience of their coaches. Richie Lang, a very decent centre back in the day for Kelso. Kelso Quins as well, I remember him playing for. Very good player in what was a very successful Kelso Quins side back then. Scottish champions on 2 occasions, if memory serves. The men in black and white, the likes of Kev Utterson, a young Gaj Cow in the ranks. They've spawned some great players over the years, Kelso Quins, that have gone on to big things. But it's going to be Tyndale now that they're out the huddles. It's going to be Tyndale to get things back underway. 7 points apiece here. Even Steven. Tyndale kick off through their try scorer Miles Michael. Not the most aesthetically pleasing thing you've ever seen, so it'll be Kelso in possession. Didn't give his forwards the chance. No height on it. Kelso through Burton. There's a wee bit of break on there by Angus Millen. Now it's been flung out to that far side and is Dyson with the touchline, and he's over the touchline, the Kelso player, and a wee bit naive there. Good defence though from Alan Pearson of Tyndale. So it's going to be a Tyndale line out. Kelso coughing up possession cheaply there, Ewan, you might say.
Yeah, and it comes down to that ability to use the touchline as an extra defender, and that was what was done there. And it was done very well, and that's hopefully where Tyndale can now use that kind of thing to kind of relift their spirits after what was a kind of poor kick-off and an opportunity for Kelso to attack. They've kind of brought them back and have slowed it down again.
Yeah, well, the line out for some reason unknown to me has gone the way of Kelso. It was the Kelso player that looked to me like he'd taken it into touch, but they were given the line out, and Tyndale have got a hand in at the line out, but it's gone forward off the Tyndale hand, so it's going to be a Kelso scrum in 15, just inside their own half, with the captain Burton to feed this scrum. Ben Burton has came back on the Kelso side, so it's he that fires it out to Charlie Lindsay, and they try to run a move. It's gone to ground, gone backward, so says the referee. So still in possession, but that's gone to ground again. But again, the referee deems that that's gone backward. That was borderline at best for me, but it matters not because they've held on Kelso Quins and they've given away a penalty. It's been taken quickly by Joseph Ross. Back to Miles Michael, fired out there to Alan Pearson, and Pearson's bundled into touch there under a meaty challenge from the Tyndale player. As mentioned, there's been no quarter given in this game. Chowdhury now back on for Tyndale. He's a big tall unit, and he's got his hand to that without needing to be lifted as well. The big paw, and now it's he in possession. Rumbles it forward, goes route one, takes 2 or 3 Kelso players to drag it to deck, and it's Michael. Tyndale now, they've got men over if they elect to use them, but they've lost possession and it's been hacked forward by a Kelso player. That's Charlie Lindsay after this, so Tyndale have lost 60 metres here from an attacking prominent position. They've gone down to deck there. Now that's going to be a penalty all day long for holding on, just waiting on the referee's whistle, which duly came, and they weren't quick in releasing the ball there after the penalty was awarded Tyndale, so they've coughed up the 10 metres. Oh, it's been fumbled. Oh, the referee says it came off the Kelso player's knee. There are a couple of dubious decisions gone their way. Kelso here, Angus Millen. They're going to set it up here for Murray Jackson. He's a big lad, Murray Jackson, and there's a wee bit of dancing feet in there by Kelso. Through the gap, under the sticks goes Blair Patterson as we await him dotting it down, and that good try there, Ewan, first try the second half, and that puts Kelso in the ascendancy.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, there was a couple of errors there, but they've managed to kind of capitalise on the fact that Tyndale play slowed up a wee bit when the errors happened rather than play the whistle. That was something that I think everybody was always taught growing up, was to play the whistle, and that was maybe where Tyndale let themselves down a little bit there, was they just kind of eased up a little on the 2 or 3 occasions where there was that borderline knock on, and that's where you've got to keep up pace and keep up momentum, because in sevens, the minute you give up a little bit of space or a little couple of seconds worth of room for somebody to run into, that's when you're going to concede points. And
that's exactly what Tyndale did there, concede points. It's Tyndale 7, Kelso 14. As I mentioned, Murray Jackson's on now. I recall him in a final at the Hive as a 14-year-old, kicking 2 50-22s no less. Absolute boomers they were. And the kickoff's been taken by Kelso. The forwards were given every chance, but it's been fumbled. Tyndale have come up with a pill, so Tyndale in possession now, looking to get back into this, and the try scorer Michaels flung a loose pass, but it's been gathered in by Tyndale somehow, and they're off and running here on this near side. Footwork takes the player back infield. That was Harry Wilson, but they've lost the ball there, and a Kelso player's diving it. Dogged stuff from the Kelso youngster, but Tyndale have managed to keep it, and they're in possession here, still inside their own half though. Kelso defence looked to have that situation catered for, but Tyndale have gone upfield, and a lovely piece of broken field running there by Alan Pearson's going to take him in for a try from fully 50 metres, and not only that, he's brought around under the sticks.
Yeah, and that's a great bit of skill, because it was that he was kind of shown and going to the Kelso player, and he did so well. He pinned the legs back and he just went for it, and it paid off. When players, especially at under 18 level, when players can back themselves in situations like that shows that they've got a great lot of confidence in amongst not just themselves but in the team as a whole.
Oh, definitely. Even he was given the outside, he was shown the outside, and Kelso won't be doing that again in a hurry, because he streaked round the outside under the sticks, and that takes it all square at Tynedale 14, Kelso 14. Couple of minutes to go in this one. The winner will face off against Peebles Colts in the Cup semi, with the loser dropping down into the Shield to play Hoyt Youth. Tynedale again just about to kick this off. Will they use the wind that they're playing into to their advantage to hold the ball up and give the runners the chance to get underneath it? We shall see. And now it has been held up in the wind, and is that going to go 10? Yes, it has gone 10, and the diminutive figure of Miles Michael it was that got under it, and he's palmed it back, and now he's back in possession. He shows a wee bit of pace, and he's fired out a decent pass as well, and they're off and running here again. Tynedale up into the 22, still going, still in possession, and Michael goes in to take it, and he fires out a decent long range pass that's gone over the head of the player actually, but it's been taken in there by Alfie Scott, and he's all power Alfie Scott, and he's been hit with a high tackle, so there's going to be a penalty in the 22, a penalty to Tynedale, and Michael's taking it quickly. Michael's off and running, but 2 or 3 players in there. He needs support, Michael, and it's been lost there. So Kelso now just shy their own try line, have hacked it downfield, and that's a great kick that's going to run along this synthetic surface and into touch of the halfway line, and that's a great relieving pressure kick here.
Yeah, it is, because let's be honest, this second half pretty much been all Tynedale in terms of the good looking stuff and the great bits of play. I think Kelso got lucky with their try purely because it was the kind of the effects of that kind of slowing up because they're knock on for Tynedale. But no, I think there's great relief for Kelso to get out with that sticky position, because at this moment I would say next try is probably going to win it.
Yeah, you'd think so. You think that would be the case. Tynedale coaches on here. The player being withdrawn. I think he's maybe at a head knock. He looks a wee bit reluctant to come off, but that's good leadership by the coach. It was Alfie Scott who was taken with a high shot, so he's obviously feeling the ill effects of that. Tynedale still in possession. It's now out to Michael, who looks to be playing at centre now, the little scrummy. So Tynedale going to have to go from deep here, but they've got a man over on this near side if they choose to use it. Good bit of footwork there, but Kelso through the big man Murray Jackson have managed to stem the tide for now, or at least it's fired out there by Chowdhury, and now there's a wee bit of a gap opened up for Tynedale. They're up towards the halfway line now, and it's back to the rangy figure that is Chowdhury, and he fires it back out to Harry Wilson, and good footwork there. Kelso defenders flying in there, but they've committed probably more men than they'd want to that breakdown as Chowdhury fires it out to Josh Wallace, and again good footwork by the little man Miles Michael. I've been impressed by him so far. He sets it back, but Kelso have managed to get in there, and the referee says that that's okay. Now Kelso with a chance to go, as Tynedale have numbers committed to the breakdown, but they've managed to get back into some kind of line. But again, Kelso have got players over here. Jackson loitering with intent here if they can find him. He's overrun the pass a wee bit, but he's in possession now. He's a big unit, Jackson. It's fired back in there to Charlie Lindsay. As a reminder, 14 points apiece here, Tynedale and Kelso, but Kelso have got space on the far side here. They cut back inside, but Miles Michael in with a tackle there. Kelso weighing up the situation. Fraser Murray is in possession, and again they're coming to this near side where the touchline's being hogged by Murray Jackson, and now if they can find him, Jackson is going to be in here. Jackson, he's up and over the 22. There's not a Tynedale player within 50 metres of him, and he's going to walk it round behind the posts, dot it down, and he's done exactly that. That will take the score to Kelso 19, Tynedale 14. It's the last play of the game, Ewan, and that was a decent tie of sevens between two evenly matched teams.
Yeah, it was. It was a great little contest, that, and I think it came down to that, just kind of who had that kind of ability just to, when the game got to quite a few faces, who was going to see it out and who was going to maintain their energy. And I think about 3 passes before the before the try was scored, I think that most of the crowd were screaming for the ball to come this way, because that's where it looked like there was the opportunity. And right enough, when the ball did come this way, there was just a relatively simple pass and running movement, and that was what kind of became quite important, was the ability just to find the space, find the link up between two men. And then that's when there was the great effort there to run in down the stand side and then running unopposed. Tyndale kind of let the heads drop, and that was the end of that one.
So we know the makeup of the rest of this tournament. The Shield semi-finals are going to be contested by Melrose and Gala. That game's coming right up. That'll be followed by Hawick against Tyndale. Then into the Jim Telfer Cup semi-finals at Selkirk Youth Club against Jed Thistle. That'll be followed by Peebles Colts against Kelso Quins.
Yeah.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio.
Many businesses struggle when it comes to their comfort or process heating, drying, cooling, chilling and other energy-saving challenges. However, many businesses don't, because they've put their trust in Turnbull and Scott, serving customers for over 90 years in many sectors including agriculture, building services, food and drink, low-carbon energy and more. Our loyal and growing client base value our expertise, integrity and accessibility. Why not find out what we could be doing for your business? Find out more and download our brochure now. Just search the web for Turnbull and Scott.
Your pet deserves the best, and that's why your pet deserves the care and treatment offered by Border Vets. We focus on delivering the very best care to each and every one of our patients and clients. We get to know you and your pet and offer treatments tailored to every animal's individual needs, from our conveniently located surgeries in Galashiels, Selkirk and Earlston. Ask about our Pet Health Club for your cat or dog, giving you peace of mind by spreading the cost of vaccinations, regular checks and more. From dental care to travelling abroad and the whole range of veterinary services, bordervets.co.uk is where you'll find everything you need to know. Border Vets, where your pets are part of our family.
Rugby Radio, bringing you the exclusive Melrose Sevens radio coverage with Turnbull and Scott, serving a growing loyal client base in many business sectors throughout the Scottish borders and beyond for over 90 years.
So that's the first round over and done with. The four teams progressing to the semi-finals of the Cup are Selkirk Youth Club, Jed Thistle, Peebles Colts and Kelso Quins. And heading for the Shield are Melrose Wasps, who'll take on Gala Wanderers, Hawick Youth versus Tyndale. A reminder of the table in the semi-junior K7s competition after two rounds. Currently Jed and Peebles at the top with 17 points apiece. Morpeth 8, Hawick Youth 8, Gala Wanderers 6, Tyndale 6, Melrose Wasps 5, and then a number of clubs on 3, Selkirk Youth Club, Duns, Alnwick, Carlisle and Kelso Quins. OK, time to get back to the action. We've promoted Ewan Welsh to the commentator position now. He's been joined by Robin Purdy. He'll be summarising for the next couple of ties here at the Green Yards. We're into the Shield semi-finals, and first up it's Melrose against Gala.
Yes, thank you, Stuart. As you mentioned, the Shield semi-finals, so the losers of the first two ties are now contesting. That is Melrose and Gala, and Melrose have the ball inside the 22, so they can attack, and it is that elusive player Henry Lynch that's manages to go over and find a bit of gap and just run in. And Robin, that's an impressive start. The game's been going for a couple of minutes, but Melrose have been right up in that corner and they've piled the pressure and then got the points.
Yeah, it's been all Melrose. You're right, Ewan, so far, and they've come up with a try there, and it's nothing less than they've deserved, to be honest. And they were in a reasonably tight game against Selkirk Youth Club first time up. Some might say they were unlucky to lose that, but they've started pretty well in this one.
Yeah, as you mentioned, they did suffer defeat in that first round at the hands of Selkirk Youth Club. It was the first tie of the afternoon, and now it is bound for them to get us back underway. Ross Christie with a kick-off, puts it into the sky, but it just evades his own player, and so Gala now have the ball and they get a chance to attack. They've had rare amounts of the ball so far, just in their own half now, and they'll try and find some space as they attack towards the stand side, and there's a wrap around there, and now there's some room on this side, and the kick's been put through, and Gala will now try and attack, but the ball's been lost, and there's then a penalty being conceded to Melrose, and the crowd fully behind Melrose here, Robin.
They most certainly are, and it's been hacked forward as well, Ewan.
Yeah, and play quickly back underway as Melrose look to try and double the lead in quick succession, but it's not to be, and the ball has went out. One of the few occasions the ball does go out in sevens, and now a chance for the attack from deep for Gala, Robin.
Yeah, Gala will be looking to claw their way back into this. They've not really had any great possession to speak of. They kicked one away there and it got back in the hands of Melrose, but yeah, they've got a line out here right in their 22, and let's see what they can do with it.
Well, the line-out's been lost, and
now
Melrose have a chance, a bit of a gift really to attack, and it's Ross Christie who runs with the ball and ships it out to Harry Riddle. Harry Riddle steps back inside, back to Christie again. Great play by those two, and great play there by Christie to step around his man, create the space on the outside, and Harry Riddle runs in, and that was quite a simple try for Melrose there, Robin.
Yeah, it was. It was great interplay, wasn't it, between Riddle and Christie, Riddle back to Christie, and so on and so forth, and it culminated in a try for young Riddle. And yeah, Melrose have made a fast start to this one, and the crowd are in fairly rapturous fell.
And it just shows as well that, in sevens, a little mistake like a given up line out, you don't really get much chance to kind of get in at defensive mode, because very quickly Melrose were threatening the attack there.
Oh, they most certainly were. And Gala just got something to think about here. They weren't given the opportunity by Jed Thistle to show what they're capable of in an attacking sense, and they've had no ball to speak of so far. They've been starved of possession here by Melrose Ewan, and they're going to need something reasonably quickly. The next score, you would think.
Well, the touchline conversion by Christie was missed, but we'll let him off on this occasion. He done a lot of the play for that try, so he'll now work his way back to halfway and get us back underway here. As in sevens, the team who score have to give the ball back to the team who are just conceded, and Gala now should have had the ball to try and attack, but again it's been lost early on, and it leaves Melrose open, and it's Henry Lynch who's managed to gather the ball and run in unopposed, and Gala will be a bit shell-shocked here, Robin.
Yeah, they will. It's 3 quick-fire tries for the young Melrosians, Ewan, and I don't think many people would have seen just how straightforward it's been for Melrose. I don't think they'd have seen it coming, to be honest, but yeah, Gala, they just look like there's a couple of players there wandering about with their heads down, and they'll need to rectify that and try and find a way to claw themselves back into this one.
And a lesson perhaps that mistakes in sevens can be really, really costly.
Oh, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. There is nowhere to hide, and if you cough one up, there's every chance it's going to culminate in the opposition going under the sticks, and that's been the kind of nature of the beast so far for Gala this whole evening.
Well, it was Lynch who scored, and it was him that attempted the conversion, but it was missed. So it was back to the restart, and then Lynch's restart didn't quite go the length. So Gala have got an attempt now for the halfway to really try and put on the first bit of pressure, and they do well there through Cameron Bryson. He's worked his way just outside the 22 and then won a penalty, so a real chance for Gala here. And Craig Sullivan is the one who gets them back underway and goes to that far side, and hopefully there's an opportunity now for Gala to get a foothold in this game as they come back towards the stand side, but there's an opposing player there standing waiting to gather it up, and it was Harry Riddle who's been a threat this whole tie so far. And now there's a penalty one for Gala, so it's been a bit stoppy-starty, but Gala will really want to try and get the next try as they come towards the stand side. And again, Cameron Bryson, he's made a couple of yards and the ball gets recycled, but Harris McDonald is too slow with the ball and it gets coughed up, although he has regathered it. So McDonald now goes back inside and gives the ball to Cameron Bryson, who's been mentioned a few times in this tie considering the little ball that has been had, and Karen McConnell's the next one who attacks for Gala. Still outside the 22, so they're not making a lot of ground, but just going back and forward, try to see where there might be a gap, and the high floating pass is out there to Jamie Bell. Jamie Bell comes back inside and doesn't make much ground, but it's slowly breaking down this defence and then wins another penalty. So that's 3 or 4 penalties now that Melrose have coughed up, and Gala still looking for the first points as Melrose lead here 17 points to 0 in the first Shield semi-final. There's a knock-on from Melrose, so Gala will have a scrum, but Robin, there's just no quite been the gaps for Gala.
Yeah, and that's the half-time whistle blown as well. Yeah, the gaps haven't appeared, and there's just maybe a wee bit of a lack of confidence now. The Jed Thistle were quite comfortable against them, and I think they would have come into this. I think Gala would have come into this thinking, well, there's probably going to be a bit more parity here at least, or a game that we can compete in, but they've just not been allowed to play at all by Melrose, and 17 points to 0. You have to say that Melrose are good for that lead so far.
We talk a lot about how in sevens a game can change very quickly. 17 points to 0 isn't a guaranteed win in sevens at half time. What do you think the message is to the Melrose boys right now?
I think Nick Austin will be on there. They're just saying, look, boys, more of the same. They've looked quite hungry, for the fact, given the fact they've scored 3 tries and they're 17-0 up, they still look really hungry in defence. So yeah, I think Nick will be saying to the boys, look, just keep doing what we're doing. When they've got the ball, get in and amongst them, and when we've got the ball, try and use the space. This is a big old pitch here at the Green Yards. Let's use the space. The players are used to playing on this surface as well. So yeah, home advantage. Let's ram it home and let's progress to the final. And imagine will be the message.
And a lot is talked about, attacking sevens and how effective attack is. We've mentioned a lot of little nippy players that have been really good in attack, but the Melrose defence has been really strong, and that showed in that last couple of minutes.
Yeah, Dale and I spoke about it in the first tie. Defence now seems to be much more of a thing in sevens. I remember a day in sevens when it was all, it was just about outscoring the opposition. You score 3, we'll score 4 type thing. But no, Clark Laidlaw, for example, he's a good friend of mine. He was New Zealand coach for a number of years, and he says at that level now it's just defence. And New Zealand Sevens won a tournament last weekend by beating somebody 10-7 in the final, and indeed the final last year here was won 7-5 by Kelsey Quinns. It was 0-0 at half time against Jet Thistle, so it's all about the D these days.
Yeah, we're back underway in the second half. As I say, Melrose leading 17-0 at the hands of Gala. So the first semi-final of the Shield competition, and Melrose are looking to extend their lead as they work their way up to halfway. That's Harry Liddell. He's been a very effective player in this game, and he continues his run, beating 3 or 4 players, and there's a smile across his face as he crosses the line, and that'll be a 4th try for Melrose. And Harry Liddell has had a great game, Robin.
Oh, he certainly has, young Riddle. There was a big smile across his face there as he was going to run it in, and rightly so. Why not? Because he streaked up this near side touchline, he scored a try, he's taken out the 22 points to 0, and it's hard to see anything other than a Melrose victory from here, Ewan.
And how, in this kind of format of competition where there is a Shield competition for the losers of the first round, it offers that kind of incentive just to continue playing, and all these boys have got a smile on their face for the Melrose team, and that was considering a first round loss.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think for lads at this age, you're right. It's a great conversion, by the way, on a windy night like this. He stroked that over, and he's going to take a well-deserved leave of absence as well. I think that is young Riddle that's coming off. He gets the congratulations from his coach Nick Olsen. But no, you're absolutely right. But boys at this age need rugby, and a Shield thing, a Shield competition. If they get beat in the first round's an ideal thing, but they're off and running Gala here.
Yeah, a quick opportunistic try there, but it looks it for Calmy Bryson, and he's somebody that we mentioned a lot in the first half, and he's shown his ability again there as he tore down the stand side, much to the disapproval of the home crowd.
Yeah,
but there's
pantomime villain doing
that just shows that a little bit of individual skill can really get a try much more than it can in a game of 15s.
Oh yeah, and it was individual skill because he read the kickoff on a windy night after it had deceived some other players. It went right into his breadbasket, having worked his way around the back of the other players, and he streaked down the touchline. Fair play to the youngster.
Well, the conversion was missed, so the gap is reduced just by the 5 points, but there's something there for Gala to contend with still plenty of time in this tie for more tries, and Melrose are going to have to attack from deep within their own 5 metre line now even, and they've knocked on there, so a real attacking opportunity here for Gala as they're just 5 metres short of the try line, and in a game of sevens with as much space, you'd hope that this would be a try opportunity, Robin.
Yeah, they're certainly going to have every chance, Henry. It's a scrum 5 metres out, great attacking platform, big blind side as well as a reasonable sized open side, so you'd imagine they'll be looking to run a play here, but yeah, they've done pretty well to claw their way back into this, and as they go, held up just short.
Yeah, it looked like it was just short, but I think they've gave it for double movement, and so Melrose can really try and attack now when they've went quickly, just try to catch Gala unawares, who'll feel bitterly disappointed with that, and the ball comes out to this side. However, the rest going to pull them back for the forward path, and that's unfortunate for Melrose because they looked like they were going to tear down the stand side through Casper Den, but Gala quite unfortunate there not to get the try, Robin.
Yeah, they just a wee double movement there, and it almost culminated in young Dan going the length, but it was a wee bit of a forward pass there. Fortunately for the youngsters from Netherdale, they're going to have a scrum heading feeding the 22 now. Yeah,
22 metres out for Gala, and they're the ones who are now trying to attack. They've went backwards, which is unusual at this level, but the ball comes to this stand side through the Gala hands, but Melrose, the defence working well as we mentioned at half time, and Harris McDonald now with a bit of an attempt, brushes past one defender, gets round the other, and he'll go in for a try. So Gala getting the next 2 tries after what was a 24-0 onslaught they were facing, but fair play to Gala, they've stuck in this one, Robin.
They have good guts, good heart by the Gala youngsters. They've clawed their way back into this. Conversion is good as well. So Melrose 24, Gala 12, and It's just now a question of you and whether they can get the ball back from this kickoff and how long's left on the clock.
Yeah, Melrose will be desperate to work their way back up into the Gala half, because it feels like so long since they were down that end. However, it is Melrose who have the ball, and they are trying their absolute hardest to try and work their way into the other half through Archie McDonnell. However, there is a penalty conceded and tensions flare, but Gala have the ball and they are getting marched back 10 Melrose, which was the last thing they would have wanted. So Gala, with their ears pricked, are now attempting to work their way up the pitch, and there was an attempt there at the interception, but it was missed, leaving a man open on the stand side, and so Calmy Bryson again can go down the stand side, and he's going to go in. So it's 3 quick tries for Gala, and there's still time to be played. So how quickly the tables have turned, if you like, and it's momentum Gala, Robin.
Oh, it certainly is. And Sevens, yeah, there's a lot to be said for momentum in Sevens, and it's all with Gala at the moment. They've clawed their way back to make it a 7-point ball game. The kick, as you'd expect from nigh on the touchline on a night like this, wasn't converted, but another converted score, and we're back with parity.
Yeah, Gala are definitely in ascendancy now, and I think that is shown by the fact that Ross Christie's came back on for Melrose, so he was subbed off, I think, at half time when they were quite comfortable, Melrose, but however they've had to put him back on because it's kind of gotten a wee bit kind of too close to leave it to chance, Robin, and I think now it's a case of Melrose trying to get their claws back on this game.
Yeah, if they thought they were going to give him a rest with a final looming, then you're right, they've had to bring him back on. But Melrose with the first possession of any note for the last 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah,
and Henry Lynch has put a nice ball in behind the Gala defence, trying to pin them back on their own line as they did at the very beginning of the first half. However, Gala have won the ball, and as I say, their ears are the ones that are pricked as they try and attack from deep. And a little mistake there just gives the crowd something to cheer about, Robin, and the home crowd really try to get behind their boys.
Aye, they are, yeah, there's some good-natured booing every time Gala have the ball, it would seem. But yeah, Gala have just put the crowd's gas at a peep, to be fair to them, in this second half. But they're going to have to go from deep here, and it's a Melrose line out at that.
Yeah, Melrose with the throw-in, 5 metres shy of the try line. And although it was a bit of a scrappy effort, they are the ones who still have the ball, and it is through Jamie Campbell. And they then won a penalty, although they are now back on the 22, so they're going to have to do a little bit of work to get a try here. And it was Rufus Millard that was attempting his best to try and get through the defenders, although they did win a penalty. So again, they go, and Melrose go towards the far side. And there's a bit of a high tackle in there from Nielsen, but it's allowed, and now Gala can run the length, and this could really, depending on where he scores this,
he's going to have to the post.
Yeah, he's going to struggle because there's 3 Melrose players there, but he gets in. It's not quite where he would have wanted it, but Rory Wilson scored for Gala, and I think there's time for the conversion, so this would tie the game if the conversion was successful. But it's a tough effort on a windy night, Robin.
It certainly is, and the Melrose player flopped on the try scorer as well. I wonder if the referee's going to take action on that. But either way, yeah, Gala are going to have a kick to tie this up, and you've got long odds on that 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly. It was actually after half time that they took a 24-0 lead, and so it looked like it was kind of curtains at that point. However, Gala have clawed it back 1 try at a time, and now with a kick to come to tie things up. It came off the shin a little, and it is missed, and the crowd will tell you there is a Melrose win on this occasion. But Robin, it has to be said, Gala really put that Melrose side to the sword there.
Oh, in the second half, definitely. It was all Melrose in the first half, but all credit to both teams. Melrose will progress to the final. Gala are out. Shows are on in Gala tonight, actually, down at Netherdale, so they'll be back in time for that potentially. But yeah, Gala, all credit to them. They gave Melrose a real good run, a real scare in that second half, and they trudge off the field, but they can leave here with their heads held high.
Yeah, they can. They've put in 2 really good showings, and especially for this, for a young team like this who really need to get some more rugby into themselves, I think Gala will be really pleased, especially the coaches. I'm sure that'll be the message at the end of this one, was how well they didn't let the heads drop too far, and they really put a lot of effort into that second half, and that has to be patted on the back for that.
Oh yeah, I mean, they can take the next tournament that they'll go into next weekend. They'll go into that with a lot more confidence than they would have 5-6 minutes ago when they were staring down the barrel of what could have otherwise been a hefty defeat. But no, like I say, fair play to them. They clawed their way back into that.
Yeah, and it's Melrose who go forward, as you mentioned, into the final of this Shield. The lesser of the 2 competitions at under 18 level here tonight. for teams who went out in the first round. And there was a couple of players in that Melrose team who really stood out and will be names to note for the future. However, we move swiftly on to the second semi-final in the Shield, and that is between Tynedale and Hawick, and it is Tynedale who get us underway and kick towards the Hawick players, and Hawick will have the first opportunity to attack, and they do so through Harley Bryson. Harley Bryson with a bit of a side shuffle and then gives the ball to Riley Muir. Riley Muir goes sideways and then gives it a big looping pass out to Aaron Common, and there's a bit of a knock on there for Common, who was just seeing a bit of space, but he knocks it on, so there's going to be a chance for Tynedale to attack from quite close to the Hawick try line, and Tynedale who are narrowly defeated by Kelso in the final game of that first round are the ones who will have the first opportunity to really attack, and a threatening position here from a scrum, and they do so from that far side. Now coming towards this stand side, and that pass comes in to Michael, and Michael, who was a powerful figure in that first half, a nippy little player, he gives the pass out to Isaac Prentice, and he was knocked back a wee bit by the Hawick defence, who put in a good couple of tackles there and continue to do so as they try and hold out any try here for Tynedale. But there's a big play off Tynedale here. Now there's a bit of space, and so they can try and execute it. However, they have conceded a penalty, so great defence there from Hawick. I think Luke Scott put in a big tackle, and they are rewarded with a penalty, so now they can get a chance to attack. And Riley Muir with the ball gets Hawick outside their 22 for the first time in the last 90 seconds or so, which is a long time in sevens, but they have coughed up the ball to Tynedale, and Tynedale can almost get a try, but a great hit there by Mikey Swales, and Tynedale just short, but now they can try and use the space out wide, and Michael, who was, as I say, great in that first half, coughs it up, and now Hawick can attack, but again Aaron Common coughs it up, so a lot of mistakes there, Robin, but both teams showing that they've got that opportunity just to score if the space allows.
Yeah, Hawick have been camped in their own 22. Tynedale have had most of the possession, certainly all of the territory, and it just looked like one of their players might have run under a post. There was a massive tackle in there by Mikey Swales, so fair play to him. That was a bit of a try saver, and it took the wind out the Tynedale players' sails as well. Probably as good a tackle we've seen so far tonight.
Yeah, a small win for Hawick will be that they have knocked Tynedale back 10-20 metres, so although it is Tynedale who attack, Hawick are showing that they have got a strong defence. And nice, although Aaron Common committed there, so it left a bit of room, and it allows Isaac Prentice to really go down the stand side and work his way towards the line. However, he was held up short and coughed up a penalty, so Hawick will now try and attack and catch Tynedale in a sticky situation, and they're a bit bunched up on this stand side, Hawick, so they're going to have to kind of hold it up a little and then try and exploit some space, and the ball goes to Jordan Vevers. Vevers pins the legs back and goes himself, and then gives it out to Harley Bryson, but it's held up, and now he'll go himself, and he does so with a kick, and it's a great little bit of play by Harley Bryson, who is going this solo. However, he's not quite going to get to the line. Now he is into the Tynedale 22, and it will be recycled through Riley Muir, who is often the orchestrator of this team. However, Tynedale with great defensive efforts, just making it a bit messy for Hawick, who now have to come back through Jordan Vevers, who still catches breath from that first run, and then tries to keep the ball alive. Back to Will Donaldson, whose brothers are often involved in the Hawick setup. However, the ball in behind was down the throat of Tynedale, and they've coughed it up, allowing Hawick to try and get a try. And Mikey Swales pounced on it and tried to get the try, and I think that's been awarded, but it was a bit of a mess there, Robin. But
yeah, we're just waiting to see what happened, but I think he has awarded it.
Yeah, I think it was Mikey Swales who managed to get the final say, but it was a bit of a mess, and it all came from an opportunistic kick through that Tynedale couldn't deal with. So Hawick take the lead in this one through a bit of an opportunistic try, but they'll take it. They all count.
Oh, definitely.
It's Hawick who got the early lead.
Yeah, especially after the pressure they were under in the early throws of this one. Ewan, they done well to ride that out, got themselves up the paddock, and lo and behold, they're under the sticks. And you mentioned young Donaldson there. I was going to ask you, actually, is he a Donaldson off the Donaldson production line? Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's the brother of both Bailey and Hughie, who have both had regular games for Hawick and the Force. So no doubt another one stemming for the Muckletown Langham that'll work his way up into senior rugby. But Riley Muir converted that first score, so Hoyk are now 7 points to nil in front of this Tyndale side, who will look to try and get the next points and keep themselves very closely involved in this fixture, the semi-final of the Shield. But that pass almost went to the hands of Harley Bryson, who would have been a dead set for the try line, but he's knocked it on, so Tyndale will get a second chance.
Yeah, they've gotten away with one there. Harley Bryson, it was almost flung directly into his bread basket, but he's knocked it on, unfortunately for him. But yeah, if he'd caught that, he was right under the post, and it would have been Hoyk 14, Tyndale 0. But as it is, he spilled it, and it remains Hoyk 7, Tyndale 0.
Yeah, Tyndale just chasing this game a little and wanting to get up the other half. They did have an opportunity to score early on, but they failed in their efforts, and now have to come from deep. And it's that man that we've mentioned a lot, Miles Michael. He's had a great set of games, but now the ball goes to the far side, and it was a great tackle there to stop Isaac Prentice from herring down the far side to go in for the try. So Hoyk not only positive in attack but also defence, although they have coughed up a penalty. Although Riley Muir can't quite understand what he's done wrong there, but has to quickly get back up and make the next tackle. And now Tyndale starting to get a bit of an effort as they get marched 10 metres forward, so they'll take every step of that and catch their breath a little before making their next attack. Miles Michael gets us back underway. He's the key figure in this team, but he's not had a lot to do with ball in hand, and Hoyk put in a lot of big tackles, and that was Jordan Vevers. However, the pass did go to hand, so Tyndale are now just 5 metres short. And then with another penalty, so that's 3 or 4 penalties now that Hoyk have coughed up, and it allows Tyndale to have a penalty 5 metres short of the try line, and they'll be desperate to get the next try given how close they are to the try line. And I think it's Thomas Cohen with that time who does stretch out and get over, and Robin Tyndale will be happy to be back.
Yeah, I was just about to say to you, and Hoyk are putting their bodies on the line. They're flying into these challenges, because we spoke about in the first half there was a size mismatch against the Peebles Colts, and it looks a wee bit the same here. You know, there's some big old lumps in this young Tyndale outfit compared to the Hoyk lads, who, let's make it clear again, are missing a few boys this weekend that have got regional commitments. But like I say, these more diminutive Hoyk players are certainly not shirking the defensive duties, that's for sure.
Yeah, with a little scrum half, Miles Michael, he's the one who's missed a conversion on this occasion. So it is 7 for Hoyk and 5 to Tyndale at half time in the second semi-final. Of course, the winner of this one will go on to face the hosts Melrose in the final of the Shield competition, with the semi-final and the final of the Cup competition still to come. And it is, as I say, Hoyk who have a slender lead here, but it is a very strong and committed Hoyk side, Robin. And as you mentioned, they've been very committed to tackles and put a lot of effort into their defensive play.
Oh, they've punched above their weight. Ewan in some of the tackles, they really have left their mark on some of these bigger Tyndale players. But the scoreline is still such that Tyndale, I was going to say Tyndale are in the lead here, but I beg your pardon, they are not. Hoyk remain in the lead, so the defensive duties have stood them in good stead in that first half. I thought Tyndale were to the good. That try had taken them past Hoyk, but no, I beg your pardon, it's Hoyk 7, Tyndale 5. And yeah, Hoyk have been made to work for that lead, because of the pressure and the territory and the possession that Tyndale have had, but the Hoyk defence is standing firm. Yeah,
I'm actually not surprised that you did actually think that Tyndale were in lead. I think it was because that first 3-4 minutes where they were so close to scoring that you would have felt like Tyndale could have got 2 or 3 tries in that time.
That's right, yeah, I've just kind of been lulled into thinking that they had more than the one try.
Well, Hoyk have gotten us back underway. The under-16s for Hoyk actually won the Shield competition here earlier, so this under-18 team will be looking to do the same. But before they get to that final, they have to get past this Tyndale team. A Tyndale team who are very much focused on their efforts, and especially through a couple of key players. We've seen Alfie Scott, he had a good first game. I think he's sat this one out through a head knock. But also Miles Michael. However, it is Hoyk who have the ball, and Jordan Vevers, who's done a lot of running in both ties, goes himself and then maybe coughs it up through a knock on. It is a knock on, but a lot of hard running and attack also for Hoyk, Robin.
Oh, certainly is. They're running hard, they're tackling hard, but yeah, just a wee knock on here. I was going to say, actually, you seldom see a referee in luminous yellow footwear like that, but that is Andrew Skeen, a fine sevens player in his day, so he's earned the right to wear the dazzling boots like that, I feel.
Yeah, when you've got the reputation of a man like him, you can pretty much wear whatever you want to referee a sevens tournament.
Yeah.
It is Tyndale who get us underway again, attacking from deep and trying to go down that outside and pins the leg back, and the little nippy Tyndale player does do just that, Alan Pearson. But it was coughed up and Jordan Weaver was there. He seems to be everywhere at the moment, and he's picked up the loose ball and given it to Riley Muir, who points to this stand side, encouraging his players to use it to this side. And Will Donaldson does so, attacking, and now they're into 22, and Luke Scott, who again is another player who's been heavily involved in both ties for Hawick attacks, but there's been a forward pass there, and play gets held up again. But and this has probably been one of the ties, Robin, that has been kind of stoppy start.
It has been, yeah. It has been high drama here in the commentary box, though, as Dale Clancy's bag of scran is blown off a shelf in the wind. Pie ended up on the deck, but it's managed to stay in the packaging. So
possibly the quickest that man's ever moved at Melrose.
That's the quickest anybody's moved at this tournament here tonight, players included.
Well, Tyndale get us back underway, oblivious to the ongoings here in the commentary box. And Hawick are desperate to get this ball back and get the next score, because the next score could be pivotal in this one. However, Miles Michael, the Tyndale player's done as much as he can to retain that ball and does so well. And well, the Tyndale players just put a little kick in. That was Alan Pearson tried to kick it, literally went right into the belly of the Hawick player, and now Harley Bryson can run in, and that again is a gifted try for Hawick, and he actually gets in right under the post because there was a lack of attempt to make any sort of defence there by Tyndale, and that could cost them, Robin.
Definitely, they went to sleep there, Tyndale, when they thought Bryson was over in the corner. Good running by the young Hawick player, but it was right in the corner. Tyndale player switched off, and he was aware, Bryson, and he almost came back at 90 degrees in himself, right under the sticks. And yeah, you're absolutely right, this could be a key kick. Over she goes.
Yeah,
so
it's
yeah.
a positive lead now for Hawick, who will be the favourites now to go on and win this. And again, it comes from that. I'm struggling to work out exactly what the Tyndale player is. I think it was Alan Pearson. I'm struggling to work out what it was he was trying to do. He just tried to put a little kick in, but it was kicked so gently that it went right into the belly of, I think, Riley Muir, who then just gave it out to Harley Bryson, who went in unopposed and caught Tyndale lacking and then went in under the sticks. So Hawick lead 14-5, and we'll be really looking forward now to seeing this one out and facing Melrose in the final, all being well. However, Tyndale will do all they can to stop that from happening and get themselves back involved here, and they do so through a strong attack that takes three players to really bring them down. That was Isaac Prentice, who's had a lot of strong run in this game, but again, when he was brought down, there wasn't a lot of options, and then the game just kind of comes without a pause, and that's where, again, support is a key word, Robin, and it was maybe missed on that occasion.
Yeah, it just wasn't there, Ewan, for Tyndale. They've managed to get themselves in a decent position, best position they've been in for a while, but no support, and it's now Hawick. They're looking to ram home their authority and put this tie to bed.
Yeah, I mean, we've mentioned a few times, in both ties actually, about Tyndale's kind of ability just to kind of go to sleep a wee bit, and they did so again there. Aaron Cumming was quick with the line out because of the lack of awareness for Tyndale, and they're just maybe dropping off a little bit. However,
yeah.
I'm sure they'll be really desperate to get the next try, which would see them back involved in this one and really playing competitively, and they have won a penalty just outside the 22, so Robin, they'll be keen to really get the next try in this one.
Aye, they'll have to get the next try, Ewan, and it is in the hands of their danger man at the moment.
Yeah, Miles Michael has not had as much space as he did in the first tie, but he got an attempt there, and the ball now comes wide, and Alan Pearson is the one who dodges round Logan Robertson and then gets round Jordan Weaver, so he's going to get the try, and so Tyndale Colts are going to go in under the posts, and he did go in just under the post, so that could again be huge, although there was a bit of a kerfuffle at the end there where Hawick players kind of dive on top of each other to try and stop him and cause a bit of a knock-on or whatever there, Robin.
Yeah, and he's done exactly the same as Harley Bryson did for the Hawick try. He's had the awareness to get right round under the sticks, even though it looked like he might have been hemmed into the corner there. But going back to that Hawick try, they went to sleep, Tyndale. Oh, it wouldn't have mattered, he's missed it from in front of the posts. Miles Michael, he's had a good tournament so far, but it kind of matters not, to be honest, because they still would have needed another try one way or another, so it's still a 4-point ball game, so he's not on the hook too much for that.
Yeah, it's going to come ball retention from the kickoff here. as Alan Pearson gets us underway, although play goes a wee bit deeper than he would have liked, and into the hands of Aaron Cummins. And then Riley Muir, Aaron Cummins on the wraparound. Cummins, famous for that effort at Netherdale that's seen the ball go over after he volleyed it. However, that is hopefully all behind him now as he tries to make a move forward. However, it's back to Riley Muir. And there's been done for a high tackle, Tyndale, so they're just getting a wee bit too keen. And Riley Muir will go again, then come in and...
Late tackle as well, just a wee bit afters. It's starting to get a wee bit heated.
Riley Muir still in afters, involved in afters, but the ball's been kicked deep and the ball plays on now. And Mikey Swales was the one who tried to continue and go ahead with a score. However, it will be brought back in the margin for the knock-on. But there was a lot of afters there that were continuing even as that ball was just about scored, Robin.
Yeah, there was a wee square go almost there, as it's known. No other players within 50 metres of them. The play had long since departed down the park, and they were still at each other, but nothing's come of it. Thankfully, they've seen better than to get into Friday night fisticuffs.
I don't even think the referee entertained it at all.
No, don't think he was too perturbed. The players were. It was a half-hearted effort, but they certainly were thinking about it.
Egged on by the crowd, perhaps.
Yeah, I would say so.
Tyndale are the ones who are trying to get back up the other end, because they're the ones who are trailing by 4 points here with just minutes to go. However, they are pinned back and deep in their own 22, and a big tackle there by Logan Robertson. We've mentioned how big Hoyk's defence has been, and that's won them a penalty, and now Riley Muir will be the one to shave off the defence and dive over, and that could be Curtin's Robin. And again, it comes down to, as we mentioned, the big tackles by a small and Hoyk team that are lacking a couple of big players.
Yeah, dogged defence by Hoyk. Great play by Riley Muir. I've been impressed by him so far, and yeah, you said before, they've punched above their weight. This young Hoyk team, shorn of the services of a few. Over the conversion goes, and Skeen brings it to a close. Good win.
Yep, Fraser Carson ran on to see the end of the game out. However, all he needs to do is shake hands, because the referee has called time on this one, and it's been a heated affair but for both teams, but it has ended in a big result for Hoyk, 21 points to 10.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio.
Many businesses struggle when it comes to their comfort or process heating, drying, cooling, chilling and other energy-saving challenges. However, many businesses don't, because they've put their trust in Turnbull and Scott, serving customers for over 90 years in many sectors including agriculture, building services, food and drink, low-carbon energy and more. Our loyal and growing client base value our expertise, integrity and accessibility. Why not find out what we could be doing for your business? Find out more and download our brochure now. Just search the web for Turnbull and Scott.
If you're looking to develop or hone your green skills, look no further than Borders College, your local community college. Visit borderscollege.ac.uk today. Borders College, regionally focused, globally engaged.
Rugby Radio, bringing you the exclusive Melrose Sevens radio coverage with Turnbull and Scott, serving many sectors including agriculture, food and drink and building services for over 90 years.
Let's get back to the action on the pitch here at the Green Yards. We're into the Cup semi-finals. The first tie, Selkirk Youth against Jed Thistle. Your commentary team for these next couple of games, Robin Purdy and first Dale Clancy.
Yes, it is Jed Thistle on the attack through Weatherhead, who looks to line up towards a Selkirk defence and gives it to Palmer, who's arcing his run towards a little bit of space out there, tries to float the ball back in field but just not able to find a teammate in the right position. So Selkirk arrive with the ball in hand. They also win the penalty on their own 10-metre line. And it was an impressive performance from Jed Thistle in the opening round. They won 31 points to 5 against Gala Wanderers, whereas Selkirk Youth Club in the opening game of the Jim Telfer Cup managed to squeeze past the hosts Melrose Wasps, 17 points to 12. So this is the first of our Cup semi-final, Selkirk versus Jed. The second one, Peebles versus Kelso, coming up following this clash between these two border sides. Oliver McClyman is waiting midfield, gets the ball in his hand, but he's been met with a very stern Jed Thistle defence, works some magic in his own 22 to release one of his teammates up the touchline here. It's great running from Elliot Hasty, but great cover back from Jed Thistle, who are able to recycle themselves, get themselves in a good position and also win the penalty. They take the tap quickly, get it midfield into the hands of a direct runner that they've just thrust into the action. It's Matthew Beaton who was running with the ball in hand there. A little bit of a dance midfield from Louis Reid, who scored an excellent try in the opening round, but he's just fumbled the ball midfield. Time for a scrum, and it's an evenly poised game so far.
It certainly is, Dale. Jed have certainly had most of the territory. People, Selkirk rather, not being able to encroach into the Jed half yet, but yeah, I think based on what I've seen in the first round, I would have fancied Jed coming into this one, but Selkirk sticking in so far.
Oliver McClymondt feeds the scrum, puts it in, it's twisted round. The referee has penalised Robbie Duff and a couple of his compatriots in the Jed Thistle front row. McClymondt then travels with the ball. He then looks to feed Thomas Elliott, who straightens up his run, gives it back to McClymondt. He weaves back in field. He manages to find Ryan Tour on the shoulder, who gives it to Elliott Hasty. Then waiting out on the wing is Cammy Forster, who just manages to jump and weave back inside. Back over the 10-metre line, Oliver McClymondt. He manages to get the ball, and Selkirk doing well to stretch the pitch here, go from side to side. Archie Morris manages to give it to Fraser Kelly out of the tackle, and you don't want to be giving him an inch in this game. Speedster as McClymondt looks to use the ball. The referee's coming back for the penalty. Good handling from the Selkirk backs, and also good handling from you, Robin Purdy, as your sheets were going flying.
Yeah, the wind really is something to behold in this commentary box here.
Morris from the penalty marches forward, then pirouettes, gives it to Elliott, then McClymondt. He bounces off his left foot twice, then folds the offload just out the back door, but Palmer has just clattered Tour in the middle of the field. But the referee has given the penalty. It was actually Archie Morris who got clattered. It's now in the hands of Tour. Then McClymondt has managed to give it to Hasty. Hasty is just pirouetting out of trouble, but Weatherhead manages to rip the ball, and he's got it in his hands now, shaping up to kick, but travels up towards the 22-metre line, then barges his way over a wanting Selkirk tackler. There's a fumble in there as well from Harry Wright, who tried to gather the ball. A difficult pass to gather, but perhaps signs from Jed Thistle is what they were doing in the opening round. There's a couple of handling errors in there. Yeah,
in the opening round they took a few minutes to hit their straps. They eventually pulled away, but you're right, they did make a few handling errors early in the piece, and they've continued in that vein early in this one. But they do. There was a big breach there from young Aaron Weatherhead. He's got the power to go with the pace and skills as well.
Ball put back into the scrum. It's taken forward there by McClymondt. He's challenged pretty high, but does well to spin out of trouble. The referee eventually signalling that there has been a high challenge there. McClymondt takes it quickly. There's been a yellow card as well, so Jed Thistle down to 6 men. The referee is not moving over to that passage of play very quickly, because he's just signalled that they're waiting for Oliver McClymondt to take it on the original mark, but also for the Jed Thistle player to make his way off the field. It is Harry Wright who's been yellow carded. McClymondt takes the penalty, gives it to Tour. He's then got a supporting player in Elliott there back in field. It's Tour in support. He angles his run, he's over the line and delicately dots the ball down, and it is Selkirk Youth Club who are going to strike first here. They lead 5-0.
They do indeed, and as you'd expect, a man to the good in sevens, you're always likely to score. Just go through the basics and the space will appear, and that's exactly what happened there. And yeah, just a couple of high shots had been awarded against Jed, and Harry Wright was the recipient of the yellow card, and that's given this Jed outfit something to think about for the next minute or so.
Conversion attempt, looks like it's not been successful for Oliver McClymondt. It's a good attempt in these challenging conditions, but it was in very strong blustery conditions here at the Green Yards. It was always going to be difficult to try and split the kindling, but he manages to get play back underway, and he's put that right on the money for Tour to march onto and pluck it. It was quite a low, and it was certainly not a pleasing kick on the eye, but it was exactly where McClymondt wanted it. Then he dances back in field and he splits the defence, and he's going to go in for a quick fire double here for Selkirk Youth Club, and they double their advantage, 10-0. A pump of the air from McClymondt, who's been the orchestrator of all the positive things here from Selkirk Youth Club, and he struck a blow when Jed Thistle are down to 6 men.
Yeah, really smart play by Selkirk. Great kick-off got back in the hands of Tour, the try scorer, won the ball back, and that's Jed would have been hoping to be recipients of the kick-off and try and take the sting out of this game, try and run the clock down as the conversion goes over, but no, it got back in the hands of Selkirk, and again, you're a man at the good in this abbreviated code, probably 8 times out of 10 you're going to score.
And they're still down on personnel at the moment, Jed Thistle. It's Harry Wright, who was a very important player in the opening round, where Jed Thistle won 31 points to 5. This would be the first final this season. Jed Thistle wouldn't have participated if Selkirk can get over the line here. It's now in the hands of Weatherhead, and he floats a delicious ball to the wing, and it's been well gathered there by Matthew Beaton, who's just beaten a few defenders. Now he's centre field, he's now scampering his way towards the line. He's been marched all the way back from Fraser Kelly, but he is not going to get him, and the powerhouse has just powered his way through some trouble into clear terrain and goes in for a try. And that's a great reply when you're down to 6 men. They've just got back up to 7, and they potentially could only be 3 points behind.
Oh yeah, to score a try with a man down at 7 is a difficult thing to do. Conversion's gone over, so Jed Thistle right back in this, Dale, and they'll be absolutely delighted, and equally Selkirk will be really disappointed to concede a score right on half try with a Jed player in the bin.
It was a lightning couple of minutes for Selkirk Youth Club, who managed to take an advantage. 12 points to 7, they are now ahead. It was Matthew Beaton with the final try for Jed Thistle in the first half, so they are trailing here by 5 points. It's a delicate lead that Selkirk Youth Club have, but certainly Beaton, with number 17 on his back, has certainly arrived at this tournament as Robin Purdy, a bit of a diva beside me, gets a jacket put on him, Ewan Welsh, so he's he used to be so humble, Robin, but you feeling a bit better now?
I am, yeah. Too many wires for my headphones to enable me to get my jacket on, but joking aside, the temperature's dropped here markedly, I have to say, and I've had to go for the jacket, and yeah, the wind is still blowing. Thankfully the rain seems to have subsided, but yeah, cold one for these youngsters tonight. But in saying that, Dale, there's been a good turnout here today.
There definitely has been. It's good in the stand, littered with spectators for this junior tournament, the Jim Telfer Cup. As you can see, Craig McDougall just making his way off of the pitch after giving the instructions to the Selkirk Youth Club side, a player who represented his region in his younger days, but he played a while for Selkirk first team as well at centre. So it's going to be Weatherhead to get play back underway here. He's just lining up, waiting for the shrill of the whistle from the referee, and we're back underway. Right-footed kick, and the ball is spinning in this ferocious wind, but has been well gathered by Selkirk, and it's Cammy Forster who feeds the ball infield, and it's given to the playmaker Oliver McClymont, the young farmer. He might be slight in stature, but he's certainly got that agricultural strength about him. He manages to pass on to a teammate, who it is Archie Morris, who's meandering his way out of trouble. The referee and the Selkirk players are gesturing to the match official about the penalty. I think Weatherhead was not happy. He's been marched back 10, and it's always difficult to see as well, but at a young age they need to learn these lessons, don't they?
Yeah, he lost his head a wee bit there, Weatherhead.
McClymont got the ball, a little kick of the heels, and a great offload out of the tackle, and it has been given to Cammy Forster, who's in a little bit of space here. He goes almost round the last defender, and he's back up on his honkers, and he's been marched back all the way by this Jed Thistle defence. He's trying to just get that ball back, but the referee is signalling there that there's been an infringement, I think from McTaggart, who got back. So Selkirk Youth Club are knocking at the door here for another score, which would give them a better advantage. Midfield now, Tour feeds the ball into the hands of Hasty, straightens up the line, and he's got it beckoning, and he manages to dot the ball down, and it is Selkirk Youth Club to get the first try of the second half, and they stretch their lead here now, 17 points to 7, and it all comes back to that pass.
Oh, brilliant, absolutely brilliant pass, brilliant offload from McClymont. He is the absolute orchestrator in this Selkirk Youth Club outfit, and yeah, they're good value for this.
Difficult to see when you watch it. When you watch a bit of play like that, and McClymont ghosting round, trying to find a little gap, and players at this age, you think, to be able to have that skill set is something special, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. We spoke about, I remember you and I spoke about him watching this exact event last year. the conversion from him's not successful. We spoke about him last year, and we've seen him play 15s for Selkirk first team this season, and that was a wonderful bit of skill, and he's certainly a confident young man.
Yeah, he is. He's the younger of two brothers, both got good sporting pedigree, and he's managing to get play back underway. It's been well gathered straight from the restart from Louis Reid. Ball back in field to Weatherhead, who just maintains his position central field as a linchpin in this Jed Thistle side as McTaggart breaks free and just puts that big fend out. He's got the ball carried in that one right big paw of his, but he's been tracked back there by Thomas Elliott in defence. The referee signals there's a penalty there, so Reid takes it quickly. He looks up to his left hand side where he's got Palmer lurking, but the referee is going to bring that back. Again, being marched back 10, a bit of ill discipline from these youngsters. Reid takes it again, gives it to Weatherhead. He bounces off his right foot, goes back in field, but great defence there from Sean Halbert, who manages to go round the ankles, cutting a cute line there as Reid just draws the defence. Palmer bounces back in field, tries to float the ball into some space where Beaton is lurking, but he's just encroached on that touchline. The heels grazing the whitewash on the touchline side. There'll be a throw into the line out to Selkirk, but Jed, this will be in Selkirk's benefit as well, because the time is certainly elapsing. But Jed will be disappointed that they couldn't make that count.
Definitely, that was a real chance, Dale. They should have done better there. I'm sure they'd admit that themselves. That was a real opportunity, and they managed to squander it. It wasn't the best at passing.
McClymont throws in over the challenge at the front of the line out. Now Selkirk looking to play from their own goal line into a very strong wind, so kicking perhaps not an option. That one-handed offload was being laid on a plate there. The Jed players managed just to get round and make a mess of it. McClymont's now got the ball in a bit of space, and he's looking to release a teammate here, bouncing back in field, now hugging that touchline is Cammy Forster. He's been wrapped round well there by Harry Wright. McClymont gets the ball away from the base, and now Thomas Elliott, his half-back partner, and gives it to Robbie McDonald. He gets the ball back off his teammate, and he looks to just dive forward with the ball in hand. Pass quickly away from the base, and McClymont slowly just approaches that defensive line, floats it over the top. Palmer manages to meet McDonald in the midfield, but he's bounced off on the first occasion, floats it off the deck to Thomas Elliott, 2-on-1 situation. Now looks to try and release Sean Halbert down the touchline, and he has been clattered into touch there by Louis Reid. A great defensive effort there from Jed Thistle to get back, but Selkirk Youth Club will be happy that they're in a very good position on the field.
Yeah, great defence, great tackle, great covering by Reid. But they're going to have to go quickly, or they have gone quickly, Jed, and they're off and running.
Yep, Weatherhead takes the ball at the front of the line out. He's slightly isolated. Selkirk Youth Club can't get their hands on the ball quick enough, but eventually do. And then spiked to the ground. It's a ferocious tackle there. But luckily, McDonald, who took the tackle, gets up quickly, taps, goes. Now given into the hands of Archie Morris. Weaves and dances one way, then another, then manages to evade McTaggart and Palmer simultaneously. Managing to get to Sam Finlater, is just not able to get there quick enough because McTaggart has got the ball in hand. And now looking to try and release Beaton up this side. He manages to weave out of some traffic, but good double tackle there from Selkirk Youth Club. And a free signal, and there's a penalty as well for Jed Thistle. It is currently Selkirk Youth Club 17, Jed Thistle 7. So Jed Thistle are going to need 2 scores to proceed to the final, to play either Peebles or Kelso in the final of the Jim Telfer Cup. Penalty again for Thistle.
Yeah, a lot of penalties being coughed up at the moment.
Yep, and Harry Wright was the one to take that quickly, give it to Xander McTaggart, who's just skidded and ended up on his tush. But he's managed to get the ball back pretty well. Palmer now bounces one way, then another, then throws the dummy, then a big fend in the mush of McClymont. He eats that one, but his teammates are back to cover. The Selkirk defence holding strong. Weatherhead straightens the line, then looks to try and ghost his way. That loose ball has just been hacked downfield from Selkirk. This could bounce anywhere, and it's just bounced almost onto the foot of the onrushing McDonald. And then a great counter ruck coming on from Jed Thistle. McTaggart on his back, isolated, and looks to try and present the ball back, but good play from Selkirk Youth Club to get the ball in their hands. And McClymont is asking the referee how long we've got left. Yeah,
and probably not long from a Jed perspective. McClymont takes it and goes
into the hands of Tour. He's had a good semi-final here, and then Finletter, a little slow little weave out of traffic, then gives it back to Tour, who's got ball in one hand and is bobbling about on the deck. The referee has probably spotted there has been a knock on in there, and he has signalled that is the final passage of play in this game, and a dejected looking Jed Thistle slumped to the ground and realise that they are not going to have an opportunity to avenge their defeat in the final last year to Kelso, because we're going to have a new name competing in the final this year, because Selkirk have made their way through, defeating Jed Thistle 17 points to 7, and they're going to be playing the victors of the next tie, Peebles versus Kelso.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming, Dale, to be honest. Based on what I seen in the first round, I thought Jed looked the stronger of the two teams there, but absolutely fair play to Selkirk Youth Club there. They got stuck right into Jed from the get-go. McClyman absolutely instrumental in everything that was good that came from the suitors, and yeah, they look absolutely delighted, and you're right, Jed, this will look absolutely crestfallen, and I think discipline was a problem for Jed there. I think they maybe thought they would kind of race into a bit of a lead there, but it didn't go their way, and their heads started to go a wee bit for me.
So Peebles onto the pitch. They're going to be playing Kelso Harlequins, two teams that are very familiar with each other in these last few weeks. They've competed in some finals. They've played in the Border Semi-Junior League final, which Peebles won, and also the Border Cup, which Kelso won. And it is going to be Chris Thompson to get play underway, and it's a high kick. It's been met and flat back well there by Callum McRobert. Thompson wraps round, gets the ball in his hands, and then it looks like he's released Miles McLaughlin. Thompson is just running that ghosting line infield to try and protect his teammate, and does well, because Miles McLaughlin is just sauntered in for a score, and he gets the first try in this game. Great from the kick-off from Peebles, and that'll settle any nerves, because I think, going on the balance of what we've seen the last few weeks and in the tournaments that we've had so far in the Kings of the Sevens, obviously they're top with Jed. Peebles will now look at themselves as favourites.
Oh, definitely, and I think they're quite right to do so. McLaughlin, another great piece of running. We've seen that a couple of times in the first game, the first Peebles game. But yeah, he looks a real prospect to me, Dale.
And Chris Thompson as well, playing in the senior squad tomorrow. I think there was concerns in the conversations I had about perhaps his game time. But I'll tell you one thing, he's guaranteed to not get as much tomorrow as he's probably getting today. And he's kicked the ball off the Merchiston School pupil. He was involved in the Scotland under-18s training squad as well, with head coach's son Ross Wolfenden. Ball spilled wide for Kelso Harlequins, looking to try and reply straight away inside their own 22. Weaving out of traffic there is Rory Anderson. Gets the ball in field. Good play from Kelso to try and get out of danger. Charlie Lindsay isolated though. Chris Thompson stealing the ball, and now looks to try and take the attack straight to Kelso. He throws the dummy and then just manages to manipulate the defence enough to saunter in for a score. And it's an electric start from Peebles.
Oh, it certainly is, Dale. And that man, Chris Thompson, you mentioned that he's schooled at Merchiston, and he looks like a player that plays for a top rugby school. You know, he looks like he spends time in the gym, as they all do at that level. And yeah, the likes of him and McLaughlin, they just look a wee bit of a cut apart to me from here anyway.
The conversion attempt just, I wouldn't say kisses the upright, it was more aggressive than that, but it certainly ricochets back into play, so it's not a full complement of 7 points for Thompson this time. But it's been a good start for Peebles. They are blessed with a lot of really good young talent in an expanding town.
Yeah, I think, more than that, they look like, Oh, break on for Kelso here.
Kelso straight from the kick-off, looked to break free. It was a good initial break from Fraser Murray. And then into the hands of Ben Burton, the captain of the Kelso Harlequins side. Bouncing back in field is Charlie Lindsay. And now he's running with the ball in one hand, tracked all the way back there by Mason Brown, who looks to go round the ankles, but just not able to pincer the Kelso player quick enough. And he evades the clutches of the Peebles defence and goes in for a quick reply.
Good running by Charlie Lindsay. He's got what you might call a bit of a unique running style there, but deceptively quick, and he went 50 metres there under the sticks. He goes. Good riposte by Kelso.
He looked like a young man who was quite surprised as to how quick he was actually running.
He did.
He looked like he surprised himself.
He got 40 metres out and thought, I don't really want to be doing this. That's
what happens next?
What am I going to do from here? But in fairness, he pinned the lugs back and off he went and under the sticks.
Great awareness. You could see him looking over his shoulder, trying to see where the defenders were going to try and attack him. And he did well, ball in one hand, oozing confidence as he went in for a score. Ball kicked to Thompson. He takes, he collects, he gallops and manages to hare his way towards the line. He's got some company in behind him, but he arcs his run towards the corner, and Chris Thompson, straight from the kickoff, gets the ball in his own half and just weaves his way through some Kelso Harlequins traffic to go in the corner.
Yeah, that's a man and a boy's game there. Caught the kick-off, thought, see a wee bit of space, I'll take that space. And you Kelso lads are going to have to catch me if you can, and none of them could lay a glove on him.
Good balance running.
Yeah.
And he's deceptively quick as well over the ground.
Yeah, he won't look, physically he won't look out of place here tomorrow, particularly in the earlier rounds.
Definitely not. Young player with a bright future. And whatever shirt he looks to try and put on next year, I certainly know Peebles who have been promoted into National 1 next year are certainly looking at this individual to hopefully retain his services. But similarly with the likes of Ross Wolfenden, there's other potential suitors elsewhere.
Oh, there will be for young players of that calibre. But let's hope Peebles can keep them and they get plenty of game time, because they will.
Chris Thompson, perhaps showing he's maybe a bit too strong for this level, just lumps the ball off the field of play from the restart.
It's those quads.
So it's going to be a free kick centre field for Kelso. And it's going to be the captain, Ben Burton. And I think I recall playing in the Dam Health, when it was the Dam Health, a few years ago for Kelso under 16s, when we covered the youth finals day.
Him and Murray Jackson, who will come on at some point, no doubt.
Yep, a lot of talented youngsters still playing rugby for Kelso Harlequins. Great to see a very successful season as well, getting some silverware. Now we're looking for some more here this early evening, this Friday evening, which kicks off a whole weekend of exhilarating rugby action, which will bring you full coverage of. Kelso make their way up towards the 22. Great offload there from Angus Milne, back in field to Rory Anderson, and with the try line within his reach, the assistant referee puts his flag up to say you've not stayed in the boundaries. So it's going to be possession back to Peebles, throw into the line out, and a chance to attack from deep. Minute or so left in this first half. Currently Peebles 15, Kelso Harlequins 7. It's thrown in, so went to the tail. Good work there from the Peebles side. McRoberts just passes it back to Thompson. He just floats it to Louis White, and he's another player that can run. Just a kick of the heels, goes on the outside, starts to pump the legs, and he's looking to go the distance, and he's got some covering defence to beat. Goes in and then back out, and that is a player lurking in the wider channels that, when given the opportunity, wants to do just that.
Wow, that's the best piece of running we've seen tonight, and there's been some decent running. Dale, I believe he's an athlete as well as a rugby player.
Yeah, he's a very good sprinter, but he's also a Scottish schools triple jump champion, I believe, and he manages to convert his own try. But he's been playing this level for a couple of years now, and he's been exhibiting that sort of pace. Another talented youngster. He's looking a little bit more barrel-chested now as well, as he starts to develop a couple of pats in the head as well. But it's a good time to score for Peebles.
Oh, definitely, absolutely. Takes out to 22 points to 7. Kelso were in the tie. They still are in the tie. There's 7 minutes still to play, but not only was it quick running, it was beautifully balanced running. There was an in and out to beat the last defender, and individual try the night so far for my money. Taking it back a step as well. They won the line out. It was put out to Chris Thompson, and he fired a pass 35 metres a night like this right into Brad basket of young White, and White was off and running.
And I think that's the thing. Obviously it's probably a direct comparison for me. Obviously played my time at Peebles Colts. There was an understanding of where they were in the pitch there and where they want to play. So the line out goes to the tail, and it was well taken by Callum McRoberts, who then he fires a deep pass back to Thompson. No pressure on. Defence could rush up all they want, and he floats a big ball out. So if the defence are rushing up, It gives Louis White all that space in the world to go on the outside, and the Kelso defence are having to really try and drift, because especially when you're in your own 22, even in sevens, there's an element of a winger looking to drop, and then the scrum half having to cover round as well.
Definitely. No, I've been very, very impressed by this Peebles Colts outfit so far this evening. I would be, if I see and hear later in the season that they've picked up the semi-junior Kings of the Sevens title, I will not in any way be surprised.
They've rung a few changes as well. I can see obviously one of the players off is Chris Thompson, I think, and Louis the White as well. Bringing on players like Callum Burnett Godfrey, a little powerhouse with number 6 on his back. Kelso get play back underway in their second half of this cup semi-final. It's not drifted 10. And there's a little scuffle. Kieran Ross was the player who, I think he went in and quickly realised against a couple of Kelso players it was time to put his hands up and retreat.
Yeah.
People's tactics.
Yeah, I think he maybe realised that Thompson was off as well.
Yeah, he had not a lot of personnel to back him up as a kick downfield from Mason Brown. It's well judged. It was chased by Callum McRobert, but it's just trundled off the field of play in front of a healthy gathering inside the marquee as well in the bottom corner.
A warm looking, windows closed marquee, unlike this commentary vantage point.
There's the words of a man who just wishes he was in front of a 2-bar heater right now. Kelso Harlequins, they throw in, it's gone too long. It's Burnett Godfrey with the ball in hand now. He manages to weave out a couple of challenges, and then he's given a dull one in the ribs, but the ball quickly given away from the breakdown, and Peebles again looking to try and stretch this defence. Not able to gather the ball, but they get it at the second attempt, and Miles McLaughlin has now got it. He looks to present the ball back and eventually manages to give it to Innes Cormack, and then it's through the hands of Mason Brown, lures the defence in, and Dylan Greens ducks down for another score.
Yeah, great rugby again from Peebles. Everybody knowing their role, everybody knowing what their job's supposed to be. They just look really well coached there.
Yeah, they are very well coached. Obviously Neil Wolfenden is the head coach at Peebles Colts, and obviously we've waxed lyrical about his son Ross on many occasion. Made a step up from Colts this year to the first team, and now representing Scotland under 18s as well in the recent festival, and starting 2 of the games. So they've certainly been given a bit of a rugby DNA. It certainly looks like a kind of new era for Peebles.
I was going to say, Dale, what is it at the moment? What has it been the last couple of years? Is it just a good crop through? Sometimes you get a crop and it's no more than luck.
Number and culture from the outside looking in. There's been a lot of I think the coaching staff that have come in. Obviously, Mark Thompson was involved as well, which is Chris Thompson's father, and they have said they've had a really good, dedicated group of players, and the numbers that they had were phenomenal for a team such as Peebles. But one thing for Peebles, what they've lacked over the last few years is perhaps real rugby pedigree throughout these age grades, and they've got that. Ian Chisholm helped also really nurture that as well in his time, with the work he does with youth rugby. So Peebles are looking to try and really stamp themselves in this border map, which they have failed to do over their longevity really, as Kelso take the penalty.
Also known as your day.
Hi, yeah, thanks for that, Robin. Angus Milne gets the ball centre field. It's floated in by Murray Jackson. And there's a penalty coming as well, a little bit of afters.
Either in. Here we go.
I don't know. Has somebody got the phone number for Childline somewhere? Because there's a group of youths on the park causing chaos at the moment, but they've been dispersed quickly.
Yeah,
there'll be attacks on social media later on, I think.
Oh yeah, good policing there by the officials, brought it to a head.
There was a penalty coming for Peebles, and then a little bit of afters, so there's going to be a lot of conversation between the two sides. Sam Wardlaw was up quickly to have a chat, but the assistant referees are going to have a conversation. So a bit of time for both sides to take stock, but Peebles in a handsome 27 points to 7 lead.
And very well deserving of it, Dale. They've been the class act so far. This is not the final, let's not remember. They'll still have Selkirk Youth Club to play, and let's not write the suitors off just yet. They upset the apple cart against Jed Thistle team in the semi-final that, you know, I probably thought they went into that as underdogs, but they quickly put that notion to bed and came through with the spoils pretty comfortably in the end. But it'll be a different proposition for them in the final rather, against Peebles, who've put a decent Kelso team to the sword.
That was very interesting to watch there. The referee speaking to the two captains. One of them was Sam Wardlaw, who's on with the number 10 at his back, and now Bernard Godfrey manages to weave his way out of some trouble, gives it to Wardlaw, and then Bernard Godfrey gives it to Mason Brown. He puts boot to ball, kicks it downfield, and now there's a chase on. Ewan Miller is probably the quickest of the Peebles chasers there, and dived on by Angus Milne. Ball almost squirmed out of his possession, but managed to keep it under wraps. Kelso return it downfield, and they have to try and kick this into a really strong wind, so it's not got the distance perhaps that he wanted. Ewan Miller back to scoop the ball up, checks his run, then bounces back in field, then floats the ball into the path of Ben Martin, who's waiting there. A breach forward from Kieran Ross, down to ground, presents the ball back. It's away quickly there by Mason Brown, who's had a good inclusion in this game as well. Bernard Godfrey straightens up the line, looks for that 2-on-1, and then wants to release a teammate down the touch line, and it is Dylan Greens to go in for another try. And Peebles are extending their lead and certainly utilising that whole squad, and it does look like it's going to be a Selkirk Peebles final here for the Jim Telfer Cup.
Oh yeah, it's a very, very strong squad. There's no drop off in quality. The guys that come on, I mean, young Greens, another brilliant piece of running there. He's got a bit of gas about him. He's gone in for his second of the tie, and they're spreading the tries about as well.
Conversion attempt not successful. I think the least said about that the better. That's probably one of the darker moments in this performance from Peebles. But it's going to be a restart for Peebles, and Mason Brown will get the opportunity to make amends for that sclaffed effort at the posts with a restart, and he does just that. It's high into the sky. He's got a good bounce as well as it's trundling its way towards that 5 metre line. It's about 8 or 7 metres shy of the try line from the restart. He's just floated it over the head of these Quins players, and Kelso are going to have to go from deep again.
They're going to have to go from right, hemmed in their own corner there, right at the try line. It was very much a synthetic pitch bounce that seen it trundle on about another 20 metres and over the touch line. But yeah, it's all going Peebles' way at the moment, but you make your own luck.
32 points to 7. It's an overthrow, and then Peebles look to try and grab the ball, but it's just broken into the clutches of a Kelso Quins player who's just herring it away from this Peebles defence. But like a pack of dogs, they're able to get back and just sniff out any threat there. And Kelso offloading the ball over the halfway line, keeping it alive into the hands of their captain now, Ben Burton. Wardlaw up with the challenge. It's been knocked forward, and back there is Angus Milne just over the halfway line. He just dives on the ball. Burton, one-handed offload into the path of Fraser Murray, and putting boot to ball again is Charlie Lindsay. He's got the only try for Kelso in this game. He'll be looking to try and get another one as there's an awkward, as you say, Robin, a synthetic bounce of the ball on this pitch, and Peebles have the ball back in their possession. Bernard Godfrey goes against the grain, passes it back in towards Ben Martin. He stops and checks his run. Wardlaw manages to get round Ben Martin. Bernard Godfrey floats the ball over into the hands of a player hugging the touchline for Peebles. Interlinking play, good defence up quickly there from Quins on Ben Martin, and it tried to go wide, but Murray Jackson was just in the road. The referee signalling there's been a fumble in there. Penalty going to go the way of Peebles. And with little time left, you wonder what the call is going to be here. I think they want to perhaps attack. Ball in hand. A change of direction from Mason Brown on his own 22. Link up from Ewan Miller, gives it to Bernard Godfrey. Slow pedestrian pace and bounces back in field. Now he's arcing his run. Murray Jackson is tracking back, but Bernard Godfrey puts on the afterburners. And great balance running from the stocky centre, and he's able just to go in to put the cherry on top of the cake for Peebles. 37 points to 7, they win.
Yeah, Bernard Godfrey, another lad that can go from 40-50 metres, and you can't have too many of those in the ranks in this game. And yet, spoke about the strength of the squad, Dale. Just good, solid players playing in a system that they're all familiar with, they're all comfortable with, well coached, and as I say, they look a class apart on the evening.
Yeah, you did say off air, Robin, I did lay the foundations down for this young side.
You did. What is, they can be very grateful for what has gone before.
Oh, exactly. I'll try not to say much about it, but it is Peebles who managed to march their way into the final. There's going to be a brand new name on the Jim Telfer Cup because Selkirk are going to play Peebles, but that is going to be following the Shield final, the Hong Kong Shield final between Melrose and Hawick. That is the game which is up next. Hawick are on the field of play, almost lined up and ready to go. Melrose in a little huddle, and they'll be wanting to get some silverware to kick off this weekend, and they'll be looking to grab the Hong Kong Shield. Melrose, they've got a squad of Rusev Molla, Craig Sullivan, James Dalrymple, Ross Christie, Henry Lynch, Harry Riddle, Archie McDonald, Rory Antrobus, Jamie Campbell, Casper Dean, Zach Wheeler and Nielsen Donald, whereas Hawick have a squad of Harley Bryson, Will Donaldson, Aaron Common, Riley Muir, Luke Scott, Jarden Vevers, Fraser Casson, Logan Robertson, Stuart Delaney, Connor Crawley and finally Ryan Muir. There's going to be Melrose to get us underway here. They'll be the team to kick off. A little bounce of the ball and a cheer from the stand beneath us in our commentary position. And Ross Christie gets us underway. It's been kicked down. It's been misjudged there by the Hawick youth side. It comes back towards them as Scott has his hands on the ball. Kick downfield there from Riley Muir. Now it's a foot race back. They look to try and use the speed of the quicker members of the squad. Christie gets back and sweeps up there for Melrose. Fraser Casson was there for Hawick youth, just waiting, trying to snaffle that ball, but just not able to. There's going to be another march back 10. A lot of march back 10s this evening.
Yeah, there has been. The exuberance of youth, potentially. Too much chat to the referee.
Christie now kicking downfield, wants to make this a foot race. Back there is Scott, who does well. He dives on the ball, and then the players try and dive through. It was Harry Riddle who was chasing that one. Dalrymple's got his hands on the ball, but the referee's signalling that Melrose were offside. A penalty will go the way of Hawick youth. We currently have 8 points in the Kings of the Sevens before this tournament sat in 4th place. Carry forward there from Will Donaldson. Well challenged there by the Melrose side. Lurking there, Harry Riddle. Ball passed away from Jarden Vevers. The referee not happy with that either. A penalty is going to go the way of Hawick youth again. And flap down at the ruck from the scrum half. It's been taken quickly by Jarden Vevers. Then Vevers finds Muir. Muir checks his run, goes forward, then weaves under the challenge from Melrose. Dalrymple there yet again. He's had an impressive showing at this tournament. Melrose steal it, and they're able to steal it from the hard work of Dalrymple, then get the penalty as well. Stuart Delaney was the man with the ball in hand. Luke Scott was the player, and latterly penalised as Rufus Moller travels forward. He's been challenged there by Angus Common. Dalrymple checks his options and then darts forward, presents the ball back. It was almost kicked out of the grasp there by a player tracking back for Hawick on this occasion. The stretchy shirts tested here. Christie offloads to Dalrymple. He changes hands of the ball into the right mitt and dots it down for an opening score in the final here, and it's first blood to Melrose.
It is indeed, and you mentioned him a couple of breaths ago that he's been impressive, and he has. He's quite a big unit. He's probably the biggest lad in the Melrose team, but he's put himself about, and he's got a bit of pace to go with it. And first blood to Melrose. And I think where Hawick have struggled mainly tonight has been size. They look to be the smallest team here tonight, and they because of that, quite often they come second in the contact as much as they've stuck in and stuck in and gutsed it out. Easy for me to say.
Yeah, I thought you were getting stuck there. It's a good conversion attempt from Ross Christie, 7 points to 0. And then probably at this stage, a little commentary disclaimer is if we do mix up some of the Hawick youth players, there has been a little bit of miscommunication with some of the team sheets, so we will try our best to identify the correct individuals from the Hawick youth side that are making their impact on this game. Ryan Muir pirouettes out of trouble. Dalrymple tracking that one back. Stud's getting caught in this rubber surface, but the referee has spotted there's been a little fumble there. A knock on from Hawick youth, so it's going to be a put into the scrum to Melrose.
Crowd's been very partisan tonight.
Yeah, you would never expect that. And
it's Demure Village.
yeah, exactly. That's I'm glad you live here, so you're almost qualified to be able to say that. So there's going to be a pop into the scrum.
Let's not forget I was brought up in the mean streets of Jed.
Coming straight out of Jed, Robin Purdy. Jamie Campbell feeds to the scrum. Passes it to Henry Lynch. He was able to weave out of traffic and floats the ball over the head. Now Harry Riddle is looking to try and open up his legs, and he's almost got the mark on his opposite man, Riley Muir, who got across well. A little bit of afters as well. I don't think Harry Riddle too happy with the attention that he was given. Luke Scott gets played back underway, just fires it straight to Cassin. Cassin then manages to give it to Vevers. He sizes up his options and he wants to try and ghost it out of traffic and go it alone. He's been tracked all the way back by this Melrose side. Getting across there, Will Donaldson out of trouble. Dalrymple on top of him. The referee definitely will give a penalty away for that. Aaron Coming goes quickly, manages to get through Riddle, but he's not able to go through Christie. But he fires the ball back into the hands of Ryan Muir.
Oh, he's kicked the ball away.
And he's fumbled the ball, knocked it on, then lumped it away, and the referee has awarded the penalty to Melrose. And yeah, there's little bits of ill discipline, and you do say it is the exuberance of youth, isn't it?
There's absolutely zero tolerance for that at any level of sevens nowadays, from World Series level right the way down. The referees have been advised to be uber hot on it. You know, any sort of throwing the ball away, you know, you just about have to hand it to the other team to not give away a penalty.
Travelling with the ball over the 10-metre line now. Lynch to Christie, floats the ball over the top, and then that's a brilliant pass out of contact from Jamie Campbell, who was almost above the trees here as he was just hoisted into the sky, but managed to fulfil his pass, and it was accurate as well. And it takes Melrose into a really fortunate attacking position, 2-on-1, and it's Dalrymple now. He's looking for options outside him. He's not got the confidence to go it alone, but a bit of luck and a flap of the wanting challenger means it's opened up for the towering Melrose player. Then he goes in for a try, but I've got to say, Jamie Campbell, it all comes from that, keeping the ball alive, floating the ball out of traffic, allowed Dalrymple the opportunity to go in for a try.
Yeah, it was a brilliant offload. He'd been tipped, as you said, Dale. He was tipped high up into the sky. He's brought down fairly safely, but in all that, he managed to get the pass away, and a few phases later, Dalrymple goes in for a second, and yeah, Melrose again, just good value for this lead. Hoyk, you feel need to get the next try if they're going to remain competitive in this tie.
12 points to nil, conversions to come. You would almost say that Jamie Campbell actually passed it at almost the apex of that challenge. It was up high and really difficult, but how he's managed
composure.
How he's managed to maintain his thought process and skill set to float the ball through his hands.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed by the level of skill these young individuals have nowadays.
Great skill, great confidence.
Ross Christie gets played back underway. It was a successful conversion, and he's found a patch of ground which was unoccupied by this Hoyt defence, and then it's bobbled into the hands of a Melrose player, and charging forward is Muller. And it's going to be a penalty. He takes the quick one, taps it on his right foot, looks to try and go the blind side, but he's going it alone. He passes it back to Dalrymple, who's on a hat-trick. He floats the ball out to Campbell. Campbell looks to lure the defence, gives it to Lynch. Lynch with the try line beckoning has just been brought to ground. Hoyk doing well to get over that ball, and I would imagine, I thought they perhaps won that penalty. Referee is going the other way. No, he is going to go the way. Yeah, he is going the way of Melrose here. So it's going to be a Melrose penalty just in front of the uprights. And they're going quickly. They take it quickly, but the referee will bring this back. I'm just trying to suss out what's going on with the decision making here from this Melrose side. They take it quickly. Christie's got the ball. He looks to throw the dummy, then runs into some traffic, floats the ball over the top to Dalrymple. He goes one way, then the other, and then is just carried over the line for a try. And Dalrymple is on the hat-trick in the Shield final, and Hoyk have started to clutch their fingers round the Hong Kong Shield. They're in the driving seat, 19 points to nil.
Yeah, hat-trick for the young man. 6 months older, he'd need to buy a jug. Hat-trick in a final though.
Fresh orange and lemonade.
Fresh orange and lemonade, yeah. But yeah, I can't say fairer than that for the youngster. Hat-trick in a final, all credit to him. And yeah, he's been impressive so far. Tonight he's got a bit of power about him, but yeah, he knows what to do with it as well.
It's a good time to score for Melrose just before half time. 19 points to 0 they lead against Hoyk Youth. So Hoyk Youth have managed to come through into the Shield final. They were defeated by Peebles Colts in the opening round, 26 points to 5. Then a good performance against a good Tynedale side, 21 points to 10. Means that they compete in this final, because Melrose, after getting knocked out of the opening round by Selkirk Youth Club, both of these teams who got knocked out in the opening round are playing the Cups. We're playing the Cups finalists. But Melrose, close tie against Gala as well, 24 points to 22. And a reminder that in that game there were 24 points to 0 to the good. Gala came back, so that'll give Hoyk a little bit of hope and promise in this tie. Yeah,
it's got a similar feel to it. Hoyk will need to score. Hoyk will need to score first, though, you feel. But no, fair play to Melrose. They've been impressive in this final so far. And who would have thought that a football chant about an Oldham striker would lead to a song that's been belted out at Melrose Sevens in the crowd. The Melrose under-18 Sevens in the crowd are going wild.
The ball crew all dancing up and down as well. There's some spectators in the stand as well. Some, not all, joining in. And then the Melrose youth team up the back.
Yeah, that's it. You wouldn't mind being involved in the royalties for this tune nowadays.
No, exactly. Stuart Cameron probably is. Second half about ready to get underway.
There's jokes aside, Dale, there's been a good buzz about this tonight.
There has been, and I think a big plaudit has to go to DJ Patterson as well. Stephen Patterson of Gala Rugby Club fame.
Banging out the tunes. He's got the crowd whipped into a frenzy.
Sorry, I've almost given him unnecessary credit. Second half to get underway here. And it's going to be Hoyk Youth to get play underway. They kick it to Dalrymple, hat-trick in the first half. He's not able to gather that ball. And it's going to be a put into the scrum to Hoyk, and they'll have to score pretty quickly to get a foothold in this game again.
Definitely, they'll pretty much need to score from here, Dale, and then they'll need to score again. It's hard to see that if Melrose score another try, that if Hoyk can find a way to win this, but they've shown plenty of guts throughout this. As I've mentioned a few times, they look to be the most slight of the teams, but they've made up for that in the amount of heart that they've shown.
Good scrum there from Melrose, managing just to thwart the attempt from Hoyk. Boiled from the music pumped out by DJ Rooney, so I've got to give him his credit now. Stripped in the challenge, Melrose, ball in hand now, just at their 10 metre line. The referee not happy with that, giving away the penalty, and it's going to go to Hoyk Youth. So they're poised and ready with the ball in hand. It's Aaron Common takes it, gives it into the path of Riley Muir. Then Will Donaldson's got the ball, and then eventually gives it to Vevers, who straightens up the line, looks to go one way, then the other, pops it into Harley Bryson, who's there. Little clip of the heels, and he finds a little gap there in the Melrose defensive line, something which is not been present too much in the first half. Defensively, very solid. The ball floated into the hands of Scott. Perhaps not by the crowd's reaction, perhaps not one of the most liked characters in this Hoyk side, but he's had a very eventful game somewhat.
Yeah, I think
good engine.
Yeah, for sure. I think all the players here, all the Hoyk players are pantomime villains. Dale, with this crowd. But no, as I mentioned, good crowd here tonight, and they've been vocal, and that only adds to the occasion.
It definitely does. Good, healthy crowd in the stands from various parts of the south of Scotland. You've just seen snapshots as you go around the park and seeing people from Melrose and Jed and Selkirk and other places as well. It's great to see them here supporting this youth rugby as the kick downfield is brilliantly judged. It kisses the corner flag, then goes out the right side of the goal line. I'm not quite sure. I think Hoyk will look at to try and play it.
Trying to go quickly, yeah.
But I think this potentially, yep, it's still going to be a throw in to the line out for Hoyk. So Aaron Common is lining this one up. They'll have to be careful here. Pivotal part of this game, 19 points to 0 that Hoyk currently trail Melrose. They go short and the wrap round. Common, the bubbling ball has been gathered there by Common, who's just straddling that touchline. He's tried to throw it forward, and a sign of frustration coming on there as well from Riley Muir. The ball bobbled to the ground, and he just punted it almost into the unprepared faces of some spectators and sponsors.
And yeah, that's right. He did. He hoofed it at a foot higher, and that was somebody's pint was going to be no more. But in fairness to the youngster, he offered a hand up in apology, just lost his rag a wee bit, which you're always likely to see at this level. It's been a frustrating game from the young men from Hawick.
Young lads, and I think as well, especially at this level, I think you sometimes learn a lot more by doing stuff wrong than doing it right all the time.
Definitely.
Pop into the scrum. Chance here for Jamie Campbell, who's had a very promising final here in this Shield final. Just a reminder to come up following this, and following the presentation is Selkirk versus Peebles. Selkirk Youth Club playing Peebles Colts in the final for the Jim Telfer Cup. A new name will be etched on that trophy. For the Hong Kong Shield, it's certainly looking like there's going to be some silverware for the host side. Melrose in the driving seat. Jamie Campbell snipes down the blind side. He's been caught there by the Hawick defence. Melrose keeping the ball alive, looking to find that gap, ghosting the ball into Harry Riddle. A little pump of the wrist as well, dots the ball down, and he throws the ball in the air because he knows that could be the try which will secure victory. Still a bit of time to play, but it's really well worked from the Melrose attack.
Oh, definitely. That's another good try, and that 24 points to nil kick to come, that puts the game to bed for me. But yeah, fair play to Melrose. I think they languish, or they finished maybe second or third bottom, which is most unlike them in the semi-junior league, the 15-a-side season. So they've put it together here tonight.
Yeah, they certainly have a lot of really good youngsters. Certainly encouraged by this home side as well, this home crowd. And players have certainly been impressed with the likes of Ross Christie's been good, Dalrymple as well. But I do say Jamie Campbell's had a very impressive showing. He does look like he's a natural sevens player. And sometimes 15's form does not give much of an indicator as how teams are going to fare in the abbreviated game. Melrose with Christie gets play back underway. It's bobbled off the shoulders, and it's been well gathered, and Hawick look to try and exit their own 22, almost out of trouble there, but they've been snaffled yet again by this tenacious Melrose defence. Running out of traffic there, presented back. The referee does signal that there's a penalty coming. Hawick want to go quickly through. Aaron Common, he does well to find a teammate. It's been stabbed forward, looking to try and find a patch of ground which is unoccupied by the Melrose defence, but waiting there is Christie. He goes one way, then spins out of trouble in between the Hawick limbs, but into a little bit of a quandary there. The Melrose number 4, he's just run into a bit of trouble. Now into the hands of Vevers, and he lobs it to Logan Robertson, who tries to gather and then is clattered by the most recent try scorer, Harry Riddle. He goes in with a lot of tenacity and just nudges Logan Robertson off the field to play.
Yeah, sporting a fine Garnacho haircut. The youngster taking his influence from the Man United striker by the looks of things. The bleach blonde locks.
$5 if you sport that tomorrow.
Nearly 47 years of age, Dale. That ship has sailed.
Vevers gives it to Robertson. Looks to kick his heels, offloads it and gives it back to Vevers, and I don't think Riddle's going to catch Vevers this time. And he dives in the corner, and eventually the defence has been broken from Melrose, and it's a try at the death for Vevers, and the referee does call time on the game, and that's going to be the final say in this game. Has gone to Hawick Youth, but they succumb to a relentless Melrose side, who are now crowned the Hong Kong Shield winners, winning 24 points to 5 in what was a very impressive performance, especially by players likes of Dalrymple and Christie.
Oh, definitely, Dale. It was a real squad effort from Melrose. Played really well to a man, but good to see Hawick. Good to see Hawick knock the duck egg off there, particularly through Vevers as well. He's got something for his efforts tonight. I've been pretty impressed with him. He's stuck in gamely, as have all the Hawick team. But Melrose, just a bit too strong in that final, and it'll be interesting to see now if Selkirk can get some kind of parity with a Peebles team, Dale, that for me have just been a cut above.
It's some interesting all sevens games. They can certainly spring surprises, and this perhaps could be similar here. The Selkirk Youth Club are going to be tackling Peebles Colts in the final, and we're just about to see the presentations for the Hong Kong Shield. There's a little photograph opportunity for the referees who have took part this evening in front of Jim Telfer, in front of his own cup as well. Well, it's always great to see the match officials on this weekend. It's always one that you see on social media. All the referees revel in this as much as the players do.
That's right, Jim Telfer there, you mentioned, Dale. Jim Telfer there, sat in the stand. Great to see. No bigger legend around these parts.
Melrose Wasps just going towards the spectators, and the young team which are up the back as well. They get a couple of fist pumps from their friends, as they're going to be crowned the Shield champions. And I can see the teams in the tunnel for the final just loitering and waiting.
Oh, they'll be like coiled springs.
Waiting to see if the presentation is going to be made beforehand or whether it's going to be made after the final. Match officials still waiting by the tunnel as well. So just a little, perhaps a scene setter for you who are just joining us in the opening round. The Melrose Wasps, who were the eventual Hong Kong Shield winners, were defeated by the Selkirk Youth Club 17 points to 12. Selkirk then managed to brush aside Jed Thistle 17 points to 7 to secure their place in the cup final. Peebles brushed aside Hoyt Youth, who were just defeated in the Hong Kong Shield final by Melrose. And then Peebles were able to brush aside Kelso relatively comfortably, 37 points to 7 to set up this final. Hoyt just currently making their way past the stand here to receive the presentation. Jim Telfer almost prematurely gave him the shield as well, which would have been a great one to play back.
That's right, but a real great moment for those youngsters to receive any sort of medals, gold or silver, from Jim Telfer, no less.
The Melrose Wasp players now receiving their medals and their messages of congratulations from the Melrose Scottish and British and Irish Lions legend Jim Telfer. And this is what the Sevens is all about. This weekend is, it's changing its guise, but it's about the history. It's about the history of Melrose Rugby Clubs, the great players that have come and played Sevens here, but also in the 15s era and the legends that we still have in the south of Scotland. I can see some British and Irish legends that are sitting in the stand as well. Rudd is out there, John Rutherford.
Yep.
So, we're littered with greats here as Melrose lift the shield, and they're crowned Hong Kong Shield winners, deservedly so, under the watchful guise of Jim Telfer.
Great moment for the youngsters. Always great to see Jim Telfer. As I say, no bigger legend round these parts. He's done it all in the game. A man of great standing. But great moment for the Melrose youngsters. And they've deserved that after shaky start. Obviously they lost their first game against Selkirk Youth Club, who of course themselves have made it through the final, but they've recovered well, Melrose, and that's no less than they deserve.
Peebles now make their way onto the pitch for this final, and it is a final that is certainly maybe partially been able to predict. Peebles were one of the favourites going into this tournament, currently sitting joint top with Jed Thistle. They will now sit aloft to the top of the table on their own, but what tally can they accumulate this evening? Their opponent, Selkirk Youth Club, after defeating Melrose and Jed, find themselves in the final. Peebles managed to get their way past Hoyt Youth, and then a convincing win against Kelso. Peebles Colts, they've got Callum McRobert, Ben Martin, Kieran Ross, Miles McLaughlin, Innes Cormack, Callum Burnett, Godfrey Mason Brown, Sam Wardlaw, Dylan Greens, Chris Thompson, Louis White and Ewan Miller. In their squad, where Selkirk Youth Club have Elliot Hasty, Cammy Forster, Ryan Tour, Oliver McClyman, Thomas Elliott, Archie Morris, Robbie McDonald, Fraser Kelly, Charlie Lyle, Sean Halbert, Sam Finlater and Kyle Pearson. Your match official for this is Andrew Skeen. Certainly no better Sevens expertise casting their eye over this battle between these two sides. It's been kicked downfield into the hands of Mason Brown, who slips on the field but manages to give the ball to Chris Thompson, and then he looks to pin his ears back and slaloms his run towards that halfway line. Then he looks to deploy Louis White, and he has got some company there, and Fraser Kelly gets defended, offload back to Chris Thompson, but he's just fumbled the ball with the try line beckoning. Now Celtic Youth Club look to try and break free from inside their own 22 metre line. It was the player that got back, Fraser Kelly breaking free, but Callum Burnett-Godfrey gets back and bundles the Celtic attack out of the field of play, and it's been a breathless start.
It certainly has, and both sets of players are absolutely pumped, no doubt about that. They're really flying into challenges, and yeah, good breakout of defence there. Good defence in the first instance by Selkirk, but good breakout there by Fraser Kelly.
Has been gathered there at the back. The bubbling ball has been gathered by McRobert, and he has got open prairie in behind, and it's going to be first blood to Peebles. It was almost well contested by Youth Club at the front, but the bubbling ball just waited, and almost by chance and by luck it just opened up for McRoberts, and he goes in for the first try.
Yeah, another tall, rangy player in the Peebles ranks. A great burst of pace there. He went in from around 50 metres, and the only surprise about that is that that's his first of the night.
Good play. Again, looks to go towards the tail of the line out. They jump at the front, looks to evade the challenges that are waiting there. Perhaps not as crisp as he would usually have liked, but he did well. The rangy, the second row, back row, the normal 15s action. He's got a bit of pace about him. So it's going to be Peebles, full complement of 7 points. Thompson adding the extras. He kicks off, stabs it into a wind which is starting to die somewhat here at the Green Yards. Pirouette out of the challenge, gives it to Thomas Elliott. Then into the hands of Archie Morris, who goes over his own 22 metre line. McClymondt is having to deploy himself into the ruck to try and clear the danger. Celtic Youth Club try and stretch the width here. Now giving it to one of the flyers. And Fraser Kelly looks to try and break free. Great counter ruck coming on from Peebles as well. Chris Thompson looks to try and get his arms free to get the ball back. It's been good defence there from Elliot Hastie, but eventually Thompson is able to squirm out of trouble. A little dancing field, centre field running there from Peebles. Burnett-Godfrey manages to find Innes Cormack. Then McRobert again angles his run centre field out the back door. The ball spilled into the path of Mason Brown. He checks his run, goes one way, then the other, then Louis Wright links up with Chris Thompson. He just goes forward, then looks to go the attritional route. Pirouette's out of trouble the first time, looks to get the offload in, but in the road was a couple of Celtic Youth Club players. Mason Brown waits there, takes it down at a slower pace, then Louis White puts on the afterburners in between the two Celtic defenders to get an additional score for Peebles. And it's 12 points to 0. And you would think now that perhaps the wind is coming out of the Celtic Youth Club sails in the early stages of this game.
Yeah, they've just not been allowed to get into this final at all, Dale. It's all been Peebles. As well, you know, we've spoken often enough about the pace and the skills and the size that they have, but they've got a lot of composure as well. You know, when it's not on to go, they don't go. When it is on to go, they go, they hit the afterburners, and all of a sudden they're 14-0 to the good in this final.
Yeah, and it's still a strong wind here, and anything can happen in sevens. But those two kicks as well, they just add further sucker blows to this side. As Chris Thompson just waits to get play back underway, kicks it into a strong wind. It's hanging in its weight, and Louis White gets a hand on that ball, but it's just not able to flap it back enough. So waiting there is Cammy Foster to deploy the ball into the hands of Oliver McClymondt. He floats the ball further wide to Ryan Tour, who's got to reach to try and grab the ball. Now Kelly dances back in field, but is then tackled in centre field by the covering Peebles defence, and it was Mason Brown getting back for Peebles there. Scooped away from the breakdown by Celtic Youth Club, but a little knock on coming in there from Thomas Elliott, who'll be disappointed with himself. But again, Celtic Youth Club showing in a small window there, a small window of opportunity that they can attack from deep and cause problems to this Peebles side.
Yeah, they did cause a couple of problems for Peebles there. They have got a couple of pacey individuals in the ranks to go along with the guile of Oliver McClymonde. And again, if they can score first, they'll be right back in it. But yeah, another tap tackle on this surface there led to a face full of rubber pellets.
Mason Brown, he's been tackled well by McClymonde, but then ghosting out of traffic there as Innes Cormack makes his way up towards the 10-metre line. Good defensive play there from Thomas Elliott on the deck, who was quick to jackal over that ball and gives it back to Selkirk. And now McClymonde dancing away from trouble, gives it to a teammate who makes it towards the 10-metre line. Archie Morris, it's his opportunity to dine in the rubber pellets in the Melrose surface. McClymonde now back in field, puts the brakes on and then manages to change his angle well, bounces out of the challenge because he just put a big mitt into the hands, into the face and the chest of Burnett Godfrey to do anything to try and get free of the Peebles powerhouse. And now Peebles have a chance to try and streak down the touchline. They've got the turnover ball and it's Miles McLaughlin to extend the Peebles lead here. And just when Selkirk look to get their tails up, Peebles extinguish any embers of opportunity there for Youth Club and get the ball wide and get put on the afterburners.
Yeah, and that's what the top 7 teams do at any level, whether it's under 18s or what we'll see tomorrow. You know, you put out the fire, you show your composure, and you have you have 4 or 5 or 6 or even 7 players that can go 50, 60 metres if they need to, and all of a sudden you're under the sticks and it's 21-0 and hard to see a way back for the opposition.
Still time to play in this first half as well. Chris Thompson adding the extras and he makes his way back towards the halfway line.
That's McLaughlin, for my money, joint top try scorer for this evening as well, along with young Dalrymple and Melrose.
Thompson gets play back underway. There's still time for young McLaughlin to add to his tally. The bubbling ball has ended up in the hands of Selkirk Youth Club, and they've encroached on the touchline as well. So Andrew Skeen brings proceedings to a close for half time, and it has been a very impressive first half showing from Peebles Colts, who currently lead Selkirk Youth Club 21 points to 0.
Yeah, couldn't have picked a better word there myself, Dale. Impressive. They've just been impressive tonight from the get-go. Guile, pace, physical presence, rugby nous, well coached, they all know their job. Can't really say enough good things about them, to be honest, on tonight's evidence.
Coming out in the second half in a final, it's always difficult. They've got 7 minutes to try and turn it round. Where does Selkirk try and win this game?
A little bit of magic from McClymonde, maybe with one of the pacey runners, Fraser Kelly, maybe on his shoulder. McClymonde makes a wee bit of space. Kelly can maybe run one in, but if it's going to happen, it needs to happen quick, and it needs to happen before Peebles score a game, because if Peebles score a game, that really is good night Vienna for these young suitors.
Craig McDougall is still keeping his players inside that huddle, looking to try and gesture and signal exactly what he wants in the second half from his young suitor side. And then they make their way off, they disperse, they get back into the positions that they're needing to be in. A couple of changes as well from Selkirk Youth Club. Can see McDonnell is now on. Also I can see that there's an inclusion of Charlie Lyle, I think, as well. Peebles get play back underway now. Thompson looks to try and go short and make it something that they can compete against, but it's been well gathered by Selkirk Youth Club. They get quickly to that breakdown as well. Archie Morris is the player to disperse the ball to Elliott. The bouncing ball does end up in the hands of Tour, who offloads to McClymonde. Now McClymonde straightens up his line. He's managed to orchestrate a bit of room for his teammates. It's been palmed over the head, but it's been well gathered and good link-up play. Now charging forward is McDonnell, who does well to stay in. He looked to try and keep the ball alive as well, but the assistant referee on that touchline side adjacent to the stand has signalled that he just encroached on that whitewash and gives territory and possession back to Peebles.
Back to Peebles, yeah. You know, this reminds me, Dale, a wee bit, or this tournament reminds me a wee bit of the qualification tournament on the Friday afternoon last year, where there was just one team, that being Durham University, who just were a cut above the others, and they've had it pretty easy, to be honest.
Thompson angles his run towards the heart of that Selkirk defence, also gesturing with his free hands where he wants his teammates to go. Great offloading out of the tackle from this Peebles side. It's been given to Thompson. He manages to get the ball and he releases his teammate Innes Cormack. but the referee, Andrew Skeen, has signalled that there's been a forward pass in there, and it is very difficult to disagree with him. Directly in front of us, it did look like it just drifted forward.
Yeah, good officiating. Teamwork there by the officials. Andrew Skeen looked across to his AR and was given the signal.
Scrum down for these sides. Chance for Selkirk to try and strike a blow in this game. Oliver McClyman rolls into the scrum, passes back towards the 10-metre line, then the ball goes centre field. Selkirk look to try and angle something and orchestrate something. It's Archie Morris offloading out of the challenge there as Thomas Elliott as well. Good play over the ball there from Peebles. They managed to win the penalty. Chris Thompson is going to go quick, passes it to a teammate. It looks like it is Mason Brown now travelling with the ball in hand. He gives it to Dylan Greens. He looks to try and just brush free from McDonald, who is just grasping onto that red and white hoop shirt of the Peebles Colts. Thompson, centre field. Absolute key component in this Peebles side. Gives it to McLaughlin, and Miles McLaughlin is on the outside. McClyman is chasing back into the corner, but eventually does dot it down, and just because Oliver McClyman was ragdolling McLaughlin, but he just manages to get that rugby ball onto that green surface quick enough for the referee Andrew Skeen to award the try. And you've got to say that Peebles' name, well, they can probably start carving it now.
Yeah, definitely. Again, brilliant running, brilliant pace from McLaughlin. That takes him out on his own as the evening's top try scorer. 5 tries across the 3 games for the Peebles youngster. And yeah, there's been a few Peebles players put their hand up. If you were to pick a player of the tournament, Dale, there's been a few put their hand up, but Miles McLaughlin will be there or thereabouts for sure.
He's had a good evening's work here. And the Peebles number 4. Also Thompson, who gets playback underway and kicks it into this darkening Melrose sky. The ball just trundles down the torso of the Selkirk players and gifts it towards Peebles. There's a 2-on-1, ball pass back inside. Oliver McClyman still defending with all his might and effort. He looked like he perhaps got the skull of the Peebles player on the whitewash, but they go over the try line. And there's a bit of afters there as well with afters. Oliver McClyman was gesturing towards the assistant referee. The try eventually did go for Kieran Ross, who got the try for Peebles. I do think Oliver McClyman does have a point. I think Peebles were in touch.
Yeah, it looked on our screen, Dale, it looked like he was in touch. Still having a bit of a remonstration with Andrew Skeen, but it'll matter not, because Chris Thompson is about to line up the conversion.
Thompson out wide, conversion attempt. It kisses the post protector, but it probably never got that much higher than it on its journey towards hitting it slap bang in the centre. A couple of changes as well for Peebles. We're going to see Sam Wardlow back on the field of play. And it's going to be kicking duties for Mason Brown to get play underway as well. Chris Thompson has been withdrawn, perhaps to get a bit of recovery before tomorrow. But it does look like there's a Selkirk player who's sustained an injury as well.
Tour, I think.
Conor McEwen just helping Tour off the field of play. Free kick to Selkirk to start this part in the second half. Currently Peebles 31, Selkirk Youth Club 0. A little chip over the top has been well gathered by the most recent try scorer Kieran Ross, and filters the ball to Ewan Miller, who's waiting in the touchline, and he's put on the afterburners as well, and he is on the outside. He's been heard all the way by Sam Finlater, but Peebles going for another try, and it is one-way traffic, and they've almost surpassed their amount from the semi-final victory against Kelso. 36 points to 0 they currently lead, and it's been a professional effort from this Peebles side in the final.
Oh yeah, that's one way to bring up your first try of the evening. Ewan Miller to scorch in from about 60 metres out, but again, it must sound like a broken record, but and that's what it'll be tomorrow in the men's tournament as well. It'll be a team that has 5, 6 or probably 7 boys that can go from that kind of distance, and this is what this Peebles young team the Colts team have got as well. They can all go, they can all run.
I think they could give their first a run for their money.
Well, I tell you what, if you were to say to me, or if Miles McLaughlin was to rock up here tomorrow in the Peebles squad, in the early stages as well, I would imagine he probably wouldn't look out a place like Chris Thompson won't as well. They've got that about them.
Yeah, Chris Thompson looks like a really good rugby player. Kick downfield from Wardlaw. He's angled that towards the touchline, looking to try and probably find a bit of space in behind that Selkirk defence, but it's just gone the distance and it's going to go back for a free kick centre field. And this is just a matter of getting a little bit of a score in the final for Selkirk, a little bit of pride back into their effort.
Here's hoping, because they've deserved it. They've certainly, their heads haven't dropped, they've stuck to the task.
Archie Morris is brought to ground. The ball is juggled there by Cammy Forster. He manages to get the ball into the hands of Charlie Lyle. He offloads well to Sam Finlater. He just kicks it back towards his own area. They look to try and keep the ball alive to get a score in the final, but it is Peebles who are the victors here in the Jim Telfer Cup. 36 points to 0. They defeat Selkirk and they manage to pick up their second trophy in the Kings of the Sevens for the under-18s after their victory against Jed at Gala. Defeated at their own tournament against Jed, but it's now 2 wins from 3 tournaments for this Peebles side, and they get their name on the Jim Telfer Cup for the first time. And it's Peebles who are the victors here, defeating Selkirk Youth Club by 36 points to 0.
So congratulations to Peebles Colts, who've beaten Selkirk Youth Club. They stay top of the table, 27 points to them, building up a clear lead over Jed Thistle, who have just gone above the 17 points mark that they started off with earlier on today. The Jim Telfer Cup will be lifted very, very shortly. We'll go back for that presentation very soon.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio.
Many businesses struggle when it comes to their comfort or process heating, drying, cooling, chilling and other energy-saving challenges. However, many businesses don't, because they've put their trust in Turnbull & Scott, serving customers for over 90 years in many sectors including agriculture, building services, food and drink, low-carbon energy and more. Our loyal and growing client base value our expertise, integrity and accessibility. Why not find out what we could be doing for your business? Find out more and download our brochure now. Just search the web for Turnbull & Scott.
Borders College is your local community college with qualifications recognised and valued by employers. To find out more, visit borderscollege.ac.uk today. Borders College, regionally focused, globally engaged.
Rugby Radio, bringing you the exclusive Melrose Sevens radio coverage with Turnbull & Scott. From heat exchangers and heat recovery to coolers and chilling, proudly serving businesses for over 90 years.
8:41 on a Friday evening, and it's Stuart Cameron and the team here at the Green Yards for the warm-up to tomorrow. Of course, it's the semi-junior sevens hosted by Melrose Wasps, and it's been won by Peebles Colts, who stay top of the table. They'll be presented with the Jim Telfer Cup very, very shortly from the great man himself, Jim Telfer. But let's quickly go over the results for you. In round one, it was Melrose Wasps 12, Selkirk Youth Club 17, Jed Thistle 31, Gala Wanderers 5, Peebles Colts 26, Hoyt Youth 7, Tynedale 14, Kelso Harlequins 19. In the Cup semi-final, it ended Selkirk 17, Jed Thistle 7 and Peebles Colts 37, Kelso Quins 7. And of course, in the final itself, one-way traffic, as we've heard from Robin and Dale. It was Selkirk Youth Club 0, Peebles Colts 36. And hopefully we'll be having a little chat with Chris Thompson after the presentation, but I think we can go back now to Dale and Robin for that presentation.
Selkirk just making their way up to the gantry to receive their pleasantries from Jim Telfer, and it's a chance now for Peebles to get in line and make their way up these famous short steps at the Green Yards, where many a famous player have hoisted a trophy above their head on this weekend. And it's Burnett Godfrey to be the first up to receive a handshake from one of Melrose's most famous sons, Jim Telfer. Miles McLaughlin is there as well, and getting a quick handshake, and it was an impressive effort from these players this afternoon, or this evening, and they're well deserved winners. And as Robin alluded to before, they were a cut above the other sides in this tournament. Jed not able to make it through to the final, so it was Peebles against Selkirk, and Callum McRobert grabs the trophy. It's presented from Jim Telford, and they've got the sign just in front of them, winners 2024, and they're just waiting for the opportunity for their captain to get towards the front of this gathering, and he hoists the Jim Telford Cup above his head. It signals Peebles Colts are the Jim Telford Cup winners 2024. There's maybe not as many champagne corks pop in at this age grade, but there's certainly as much glee and jubilation, smiles etched on the face of all those Peebles players, and there's a couple of players that are going to have to go again tomorrow.
Yeah, get home, lads, get tucked up in bed, because you've got the boots to pull on tomorrow and do it all again. And tell you what, Dale, look out Gala.
A couple of good players in this Peebles side. It'll be interesting to see how they fare at a level above them. Obviously, it's a new place in the calendar, having this Colts tournament side by side with the main tournament. Used to be always traditionally played in the August time.
Yeah. Tell you what, Dale, it's been another. We said this last year after the inaugural event. It's been a really, really good tournament. It's been a really good event.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with the level, the skill set that's been displayed this afternoon between these sides.
We're going to get Dale Clancy to remove his headset because Callum McRoberts is here, and he's the captain, of course, of Peebles Colts, and he's going to be talking to Robin very, very shortly. Just a reminder how they actually made it to the final in the first round. It was a big win for them against Hoyt Youth by 26 points to 7. That was closely followed by a thumping of Kelso Quins by 37-7. And then in the final, Selkirk Youth Club were beaten by 36 points to 0. Robin Purdy talking to the captain of Peebles, and that's Callum McRoberts.
Well, Callum, congratulations first of all.
Thank you very much.
You've won the Jim Telford Cup here tonight at Melrose Sevens, and it very much looked like it was a full squad effort.
It really was. I think boys throughout the week really putting themselves forward for training, and it was a good battle to see everyone back at training and really putting the graft in during the week to get the result on the weekend. So it was good.
Yeah, and not only the trophy tonight, valuable Kings of the Sevens points as well.
Indeed, yeah. Finished 15th season top of the league, but that doesn't mean we're not going to go after the Sevens as well. And I think we made that pretty clear tonight. So that was our goal.
And I believe you're back here tomorrow with a couple of the boys, Chris Thompson and Miles McLaughlin.
Yeah, we are. That'll be a slight different change of scene, but should be fun. Good day
and
out.
Will that be your first venture into senior rugby, or?
No, I've played a couple for the 15s game. I've played 3 this season, but first 7's out for the first team. Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah. If anything, if tonight's anything to go by, then look out Gala. All the very best for tomorrow, and thanks for joining us up here tonight.
Thank you very much.
There are a great effort from Callum McRoberts there, and the rest of the Peebles Colts team, who are the champions here of the Melrose Wasps 7. We're still on the air for about 13 minutes or so we're going to have a little chat about a big event that's happening here tomorrow, and one which is happening over at Mansfield Park as well, a huge game in question. We're on the air, let's say, till 9, so we've got Dale Clancy's headphones back, and Robin Purdy, and guys, an excellent appetiser, I think, really, for tomorrow.
Yeah, it was really good. I think last year with obviously the pre-qualifier, it was a good initiative. Obviously, there were some good teams within that, but there was probably some teams who perhaps were lacking the quality, so they've obviously not looked to re-establish that. But I think the focus on youth is a really, really good thing. Obviously the level that we saw from a lot of the teams, the quality was good throughout, especially Peebles at the end. Robin said it a few times, the quality that Peebles had, they were a cut above everybody else, so it's good to see the spotlight shone on the youngsters, and it gives us a good platform bouncing into tomorrow.
Well, Robin, your own thoughts on the tournament? I thought we've seen at least half a dozen stars of the future tonight.
Oh, definitely, Stuart. Most of which probably were in the Peebles Colts team. There really was some brilliant young players that, even young McRobert that was up just now. These are boys in men's bodies effectively, and They were the biggest team on show tonight, Peebles. They were the fastest, and they had the most amount of rugby ability, and that with that kind of concoction, then it's only going to lead to one outcome, and that's the picking up of the silverware. But no, there was other players, good players on show across the rest of the teams as well, and that augurs well for the senior teams in the region if those players can be maintained and kept keen, and they come through into first team level. But certainly looking at Peebles, if they can keep hold of some of these boys on top of all the rest of what they've got, then future looks bright up the road there.
And it really is a good tournament, isn't it, this, because as we saw last year, Dale, we had Mark Glenn and we had Archie Barber playing against each other, one for Jed and one for Kelso Quins, and this season we've seen them playing full rugby and certainly standing out.
Yeah, we've seen it time and time again, and it's great to see that there's still a conveyor belt. Like there's been decades of young players that exceed themselves or exceed the level that they're at Colts rugby, and they're able to make that step up. And it's great to be able to cover this and be here and be part of it, that we're able to obviously contribute towards part of supporting youth rugby, because there's been a lot of good players. Unfortunately, a lot of those really talented and great players might fall by the wayside, and they might go into other things in the rest of their career. But they've had their moment in the spotlight here, and it's good to shine on that. And it's we've certainly seen a few stars of the future. And
Ewan Welsh with us as well, and not great conditions out there, but we did get some pretty good rugby.
Yeah, absolutely. It was kind of more brutal at the beginning of the night than the end. But in conditions with the wind as well, even just that effect in the conversions. A lot of the games today could have been decided at times purely by conversions, and that would have had a massive impact on a lot of the games. So, no, I think conditions play a huge part, especially in sevens, especially for some of the youngsters out there, because especially playing on their 3G as well, a lot of them will know have had as much experience on that kind of pitch, and then with the type of room that you get. And I mean, if you've got a couple of really quick players on that kind of surface, they can really let their talent shine.
And that's where Peebles really were outstanding. They had some flyers in the lineup there.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, they're a team that have shown that they really can have. I mean, me and Robin spoke about it in one of our ties, that if you've got a team that are majority really, really good players, and then you've got a couple of players that can really stand out and have that little bit of individual skill, and that's when you can win sevens tournaments. And I think you're not going to get away with just having one or two players that are amazing and the rest just being kind of bang average. You need to have a pretty decent team all around, and then have a couple of players that can really just ignite the flame somehow and get you from one side of the pitch to the other, or create something that really just lifts the mood amongst the whole squad.
Well, Robin, what about the pathway now for players like that? They're obviously going to go on and play for their own teams, like as we've seen, three of the boys here will be turning out tomorrow against Gala in one of the early rounds. But where do they go from there now that there's not going to be a Super Series?
Oh, it's a good question, Stuart, because I've said all along when Super Series came in that it should be all about good 18-year-olds, good 19-year-olds, exactly of the ilk that we've seen, particularly in the Peebles team tonight. Almost, if they're perceived to be going to go on to a higher level, almost going straight from semi-junior rugby, Scotland under-18s, that kind of thing. The likes of Chris Thompson tonight, almost going straight into the Southern Knights, and that was, to me, was what almost the purpose of it was, along with a few experienced players, almost to bring these youngsters on. So it's going to be interesting to see. Do they go into these academies that are going to be in place, but we don't know yet who they're going to play. But I'd like to see some of these boys go into Peebles' first team for a period of time and try and blossom there. But then, our clubs like Peebles or Boroughmuir and Stirling and clubs that at the moment are traditionally strong at producing young players, are they almost got to be a victim of their own success, because they're not going to sort of see the fruits of their labour, if you like, if these young boys almost bypass the Peebles first team, which would be unfortunate.
Now, Dale, of course, Darcy Graham is the latest star, the latest international as well, who's come from Hoyk, but again only for a few games, and then he stepped up. But this was pre-Super Series, of course. Which route is he taken? I
think Darcy Graham's one is obviously, I was at one of his first games where he was absolutely cuffed in the final against Boroughmuir at Murrayfield, and it was obviously at that point you didn't perhaps know he was going to go into the success that he was going to have. But Robin, sorry, I'm not meaning to be controversial or offensive to anybody, but Robin started it by saying that's a good question, but it wasn't really, because I think that we still don't know, and that's not your fault. We just don't know where these players are going to end up going, what's going to be their pathway. So, you're guessing as to what the next route is going to be, but that's where I fully agree with Robin. You want to see these players play and contribute towards their senior club if possible. If not, then they've already contributed so much to the youth section, then go on to what is next. But that is where your question was leading to. What is next? Nobody knows. We don't know yet.
Yeah, the main thing for me, Dale, is that wherever they're playing and whoever they're playing for, these young boys have to be playing rugby. Reasonable level,
Totally.
competitive rugby in a competitive tournament, week in, week out, and not just spending time playing the odd half an hour here, the odd closed doors game there. They got to be playing rugby, and that's where they will flourish. But like I say, here's hoping, and it'll be for the likes of Peebles.
Mentioned it to you guys a couple of weeks ago now that the team that played under 18s for Hawick a couple of seasons ago, I think it's players born in 2003 that we're talking about here, that there's none of them left playing at senior level. And I think that, to me, I mean, if for a team that was so good at under 18s level, to now none of them still be stuck in the game. Now, obviously, there's different reasons for that. Be it there's other opportunities, whether it be at football, whether it be other things available now on a Saturday for people, or interest in general. But if you've got players that are dominating at under 18 level, and then there's they feel within themselves that they've got anywhere to go once to play a season or a season and a half at senior level, that to me says that there's problems in that progression, and whether that's to do with individual towns or whether that's to do with actual process, someone needs to be addressed in order to keep these boys who are, as I say, they were like an unreal team at under 18 level, suddenly they've all lost interest and moved on. That has to be addressed, surely.
Yeah, well, we'll certainly be returning to that subject, I can guarantee you, the next couple of weeks or so. But just briefly, 2 big matches tomorrow. Let's start here at the Melrose Sevens. 10 guest teams, a lot of local sides. If you want to see them, you're going to have to come here early, Dale.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it kicks off pretty early in the morning with the first round ties that you've got, and a lot of obviously local teams, a lot of local interest in the opening preliminary stages, and then it goes through obviously the invitational teams, which are also littered throughout the opening round. The holders, Monaco Impes, are part of the opening round, and their team looks very strong this year, as does Shogun. A lot of the invitational teams are going pretty strong this year, which is good to see. We've obviously we talk about recognising brands and names in the teams that are invited to Melrose Sevens, but when you dig a little bit deeper and you start to see the figures that are actually going to be turning out for these sides, it's pretty impressive, to get the amount of players here at Melrose Sevens playing at this level. But again, hopefully the weather holds up. Hopefully it's a good crowd. It is a great weekend here at Melrose. It always is, whether you're a player, a ref, a spectator, whatever you are, volunteer, part of the ball crew, whatever you are, it's where Sevens began. It's always a really, really good weekend. So, yeah, come down early, get a space in the banking, and then hopefully bring a windbreak as well.
Yes, it's going to be rather windy, we understand. What a quick tip from you then. Who do you think is going to win?
I think Shogun. I think Shogun
that's my tip as well.
They look pretty strong, but we've always said that. We've always said Samurai looks strong. I think Monaco Impes are coming back to make I think they're taking this very seriously. I looked at my prep last year and I never really took them that seriously myself. So
they came under the radar, didn't they?
Yeah,
certainly.
Once bitten, twice shy.
Yeah, Robin, Shogun for you or another?
Whoever emerges from what will be a Shogun v Impes semi-final will emerge victorious in the final.
You're confident of that?
He sounded it.
Yeah, whoever wins that semi-final will win the final.
There we are. Now, of course, you're going to be, we've got a helicopter standing by for you, haven't we? And it's you'll be starting off at Melrose. You'll be going to Hawick, then coming back to Melrose again. I don't know what he's done to deserve it, but he is doing that anyway with Ewan tomorrow. Big semi-final cup game, Hawick against Curry. Doesn't come bigger. Massive game. Huge ding-dongs between these two clubs that have built up a bit of a modern-day rivalry in recent times. At times there's been no love lost on and off the Frozen Park, and we've got the added spice tomorrow, and that wee bit of a sprinkling of controversy, if you want to call it that, or just what's going to be hanging in the air at Mansfield tomorrow, with what has maybe been on the back of it's maybe been a tumultuous couple of weeks at the club. It certainly has. Well, that's just about it for today. 3.5 hours of kind of flown by. Congratulations again to the Jim Telfer Cup winners, who are Peebles Colts. My thanks to the team of Dale Clancy, Robin Purdy, Ewan Welsh, Babs Shields and Kelly Riddle, who've all been here tonight. We'll be back tomorrow morning, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, raring to go from 11 o'clock in the morning. It's a 9-hour marathon, and as well as covering the Melrose Sevens, we'll be bringing you full commentary of that Scottish Cup semi-final between Hawick and Curry from Mansfield Park. Edited highlights from today's tournament will be available for you to watch later this week on Borders Rugby Television. But for now, thanks much indeed for listening, and from me and the team, bye-bye.